No,
It's already on. We're going.
All right, cool.
Live? We are live. Let's double check. Should be good.
It's weird that you get like this weird thing in your stomach that hits as soon as you know you're live.
Yeah.
But we were having a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh man, now everything's open.
Eventually, everything will calm down, and we'll just like be having a normal conversation.
It's like a
you forget
Ouija
about
board.
you forget about the cameras and everything. Today, high state of mind. We are joined by Kristofur Wilia, my boy. Grew up with this boy. Thompson, my cousin, spiritual gangster. We also got, my boy, co-host Nate.
Brother Nate. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, we're just talking story. How are we going to start this? Dude, we have a lot to talk about.
What are we talking about first?
Well, I think first of all, man, it is fucking awesome to be back on this mic. It feels excellent. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I walked in the room and the smell was just like bringing back memories and shit. Even though I only did a few episodes, I was like, oh god, I missed this shit.
How many episodes have you guys done?
This is our 10th.
That's what's up.
But we were doing it like
frequently,
pretty much every week.
Every week we were doing it for a long time, and then
so what caused the
us getting busy? He's in college, and,
Good for you.
Finish up his master's, I think, right?
No, I'm still in bachelor's.
The bachelor's?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Yeah,
the hard one right now, so I can't wait till I start masters, because to me it may be backwards, but it's actually, the pace is going to slow down, because I'm just like cramming, 5 classes and shit right now, and it's just crazy. I'm not really learning anything.
They train us. They don't teach us.
Yeah.
The bell system, all of that.
A bell curve.
Yeah.
I couldn't do school, bro. I commend you for it. I can't do school. I was a horrible student.
Once you jump in it, then it's just part of your routine, I think, more people can do it if they try it, more or less, but I have a lot of buddies that's just like, I have a lot of buddies that said, of course people commend me for going to school and stuff, and I appreciate that. I'm just like, shit, man, you can do it.
Yeah.
And
did it.
I tell people
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but you start out with like one class, right? Just do one class, and once you start, then you're just like, okay, you just fucking die.
But I got addicted to learning, dude.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, tell me everything there is to know about this and this. Then 4 hours later, go into another mind bomb. Like, we were debating God at 7:30 in the morning. It was insane. Triggers everywhere. Yelling, screaming. I'm like, good morning.
It's a way to wake up.
Hey,
yeah.
Let's went to college.
The whole motto of being a chef is you're always learning.
Yeah.
You never want to close yourself to being like, oh, I know it all already.
Right.
I'm not going to learn something new.
Right.
So I get it.
Master's always the teacher, and the teacher's always the master.
You're always a student, no matter
it's
how
always
good
a
you are,
student,
right?
too. That's how that saying's supposed to go.
Yep.
Yeah, the cool thing about cooking though is that it's not this finite task. You have ultimately millions of combinations that you can make.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Not like any other job where you can learn, like what I do. I work on a farm to keep it simple, right? But I can learn all the. This guy's laughing.
Wait.
We're gonna.
What are you growing?
I grow corn.
Corn?
Yeah, it's not sweet
in
corn.
Hawaii?
It's nothing.
Interesting. Sounds kind of corny.
Yeah.
The king of puns over here. That was very funny.
Yeah, no, I work for Bayer Crop Science, formerly Monsanto. So we had a whole episode.
Nice. Yeah, he was showing me.
Dude, that was a good episode.
It was a lot of fun.
I love that episode.
Yeah.
So
still down.
do you have a theme to the guests you're bringing on, or is it just roll the dice?
It's kind of roll the dice.
Who's interesting?
It's just whoever's interesting, and I really do like sometimes opposing views and people with differing opinions because it gives you a full scope.
Right.
And I want to learn. It's kind of a selfish thing. This podcast is. I always say it's a selfish thing because I want to bring these guests on, like where we have the camera set up, we have everything set up, but I want to learn from these people.
Is that what inspired you to start this?
Yeah.
It's like
just gain knowledge.
Last I saw you were making games, had Alika, and then all of a sudden I see you're doing podcasts and bringing on guests all the time. I've been like in the distance watching when I can. Always keeping tabs on this guy. Gotta make sure he doesn't get too silly.
I'm always silly.
Tabs on you.
No news is good news, brother.
I'm still doing the game development stuff. I'm still doing that.
I know, dude, stoked what you've done.
Well, I appreciate it.
The High-Con games.
High-Con games,
Shout out to Huli right now.
Right
Huli.
there. Huli, it's coming out, man. I can't wait.
It's looking great.
We funded the Kickstarter. I want to thank all the Kickstarters. That's just like a little plug there. Just want to thank you guys, and we're gonna really develop a really good game for everybody. And
it looks tight. I don't like the wind, and I don't like I was playing you, the creator of the game, and I feel like he was cheating. he knew things about the game.
It's childhood right there.
We used to play this.
Yeah.
No, actually, Christian, you were saying in Peru that they love that game.
They still play Pogs on the street down in Peru. I think it's a lot of South America, but I only witnessed it in Cusco and some of the mountain towns in the Sacred Valley. Kids are still just pogging away.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It started in Wailua.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Pog started here?
If you look it up in Wikipedia, it starts from Miss Calbiso. She brought it to keep the kids, the delinquent kids. Yeah, they were all a bunch of rascals, and she said, if you guys behave, I'll give you this game to play. And it just blew up from there because we were using original podcasts. Back in like 93.
Yeah. Well, it started in the 70s in Wailua, here and there, and then it really took off in the 90s, 93, 94. It was like...
I didn't know that's how it went.
You couldn't walk through school.
I remember I used to have Pogs myself.
Kids were all over the sidewalks. You literally had to climb over kids to get to your class.
Yeah.
And it was like, never mind going to class, we're just going to play Pogs.
The original Pokemon cards.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is, too, is like everybody will play tetherball, right? And while you're waiting in line for tetherball, you're playing Pogs. It's insane, man.
Were slammers out by then? Like those fat rubber ones?
We never used slammers.
Cheating?
Yeah.
You only use the Pogs that you put down.
I had a slammer with fingerprints, bro. I just demolished towers.
See, that's why. That's why you demolished.
I had cheat codes.
Game Shark on Pogs.
Game Shark on the Pogs.
No wonder you're not good at that.
I don't have a slammer. Do you remember my first question? Where's my slammer?
Yeah. Exactly. No, this is the Pogs game, man. I really love it. Yeah. And so that's what we decided. It was just natural for us to choose that as our first game, just to get it out there. And we thought it was going to be a lot easier.
Is that going to be a theme? Like Hawaii origin kinds of games? And like, I'm sure there's a bunch of other things. Like, what were the Hawaiians playing? The ancient Hawaiians? Yeah, Did they have any kind of games that they know of?
Like Hawaiian sledding.
Hawaiian sledding.
You should make those into games.
Bowling.
We had a boxing.
That's cool.
We had a lot of...
They would ride sticks down mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah.
Like, legit.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what hills did they bomb?
Sure, that sounds fun. There's hills everywhere.
Me and this guy used to take boards and look for the coolest hills in Makakilo and bomb them. And
I remember that.
Scary.
Oh, sketchy, dude.
Scary.
I remember that was the gnarliest beef I ever had. Was you were following in the car behind.
Dude, I saw you roll.
I saw water. We were going, what, 20, 30?
Yeah. We were in the car doing like 25.
Yeah.
I had to keep up with you guys.
Flying down. Water in the street, hit it, and I thought, like, after a few hundred feet, the wheels would dry. But then I started drifting, ditched the board, floated above the air for like 10 feet, hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Fell,
your feet
started
keep up with you.
Kick flipping, and then just right into the tree, dude.
Yep.
Knocked all the wind out.
Oh man!
I was out of breath when I got in the car, and you guys were just laughing.
We were dying.
You don't know how much pain I was in. It hurt so bad. I got lucky. I could have oh man.
We didn't record that. Did we record that?
No.
Ever since then, I started wearing helmets.
It's one of those things that you wish you recorded.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't get recorded.
Oh, what? Come on.
It's a memory stuck in me, dude.
I guess so. Memories are sometimes cherished.
You remember your biggest beef on a board? Come on.
Yeah, I smashed my face.
You know what?
Dude, I was
there.
on film.
Oh, we did not get it on film.
I asked, like, we weren't filming.
Yeah.
And, like, a helmet wouldn't have saved me, and I ended up smashing my face on the concrete, knocked out, lost a couple teeth, blew a hole in my lip.
It was crazy because
Jordan was like, yo, you want me to film it? And I was like, no.
So it could have been on film.
It could have been on film.
He had his camera, but it was just one of those, like, we put the camera down and go skate. It's like, okay, we're done filming, let's just go have some fun.
Yeah. It was just us at Mililani Skate Park.
Yeah, it was
Milani.
Really
Dude,
bad,
you were doing
bro.
an alley-oop like 360.
It was really bad.
Bank to bank.
It was really bad.
And
Ollie face plant.
Ollie face plant. That's all I can remember is Ollie face plant.
We look around the skate park for his teeth. Could not find his teeth.
Yeah.
I wake up and I like run my teeth across, or my tongue across my teeth, and I'm
Isn't
like, yo,
that
my tooth is gone.
Yeah.
Like, find it before somebody else skids on it and eats it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, dude, just relax. Don't even worry about that.
Don't
I'm
worry about your teeth.
drooling a big pile of blood. And they couldn't find it. And when I went to go get stitches, the doctor finally found it. It was stuck in my lip.
Oh.
So he opened it up, and I watched my mom kind of go from like normal to like pale green. And they just like opened up my lip, and then he's like, "Oh, there's your tooth," and starts yanking it out. And I start moaning and groaning in pain. He's like, "Oh, let me numb you up first before I take this out." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." It really helped that. Yeah. Horrible.
It's so nuts.
I've knocked out this tooth 3 times. The same tooth.
Times?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
One was an airsoft bullet.
Oh.
Someone sniped me while I was laughing because I shot someone. I was like, ha ha. There goes my tooth.
Now, what if that went down your throat?
Yeah.
Instead of your tooth.
No, right?
You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
It would have hit the little hanging down thing. You would have
What is that thing called?
I don't know.
The hanging
Come
down
on,
thing.
Facts Guy, what is that called?
No clue.
You know what I mean?
The throat
That's
hanging
not the
down
tonsil,
thing.
right? No.
No,
The tonsil's on the side.
How do we not know what the hangy thing in the throat? Please don't judge us.
Yeah.
It's like every cartoon I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Right.
What's it called?
Punching bag. I don't know.
Yeah, how
The
weird.
throat punching bag.
The
What's
throat
called
punching
that?
bag.
Yeah, I'm in, dude.
Oh, here it goes.
The gobbler.
We got him. We got him.
We got the fact check.
What is the hangy thing in throat?
That's perfect. Did that like fill in for you on Google?
No.
Oh, okay. No, the
Not worry about what
autocomplete.
fills in.
The autocomplete. There it is. Oh, it did fill it in for you. Uvula.
Uvula. Oh, I was struggling with that one.
I would have guessed a
Never have
completely
guessed that.
different part of the body
I know
if
you
you
would.
asked where is the uvula.
You would've said
I would have not pointed it in the back of my throat.
Oh, man.
the hanging out thing is not that.
Here's one of the engine. What does that dangly thing in the back of your throat do?
Oh my.
There you go.
See?
Enlighten us, please.
All I know
to
is
be
gag reflex. Fucks me up, man.
Send
I
back.
gotta brush my teeth and I'm fucked up.
I got no teeth back there, bro. That's like brushing the back of your tongue, dude.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I do.
I got my English teacher to do that one time in like my freshman year of school. I said, "Hey, I won't mention her name. Hey, can you brush your tongue, or do you brush your tongue?" She said, "Of course, Christian." I said, "How do you do it?" She started going. In front of the whole class, and everyone busted up, and she looked at me and goes,
Office.
"Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, got her though."
That's epic.
That's classic.
Yeah.
It's like in the kitchen we always ask them, like, how do you wash your tongues? Of course. Of course it is.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks for Thanks for enlightening me. Now, there are a couple things that I do want to talk about with you.
Let's talk.
Let's
talk, Jordan.
You just spent 6 years in Peru.
5.5.
5.5, to be
I round up all the time.
How was
Makes
that?
me sound cooler.
There you go.
How was that?
It was magical. It's hard to describe.
I know it's a different...
It's a different world.
Yeah.
We always joked around that when we flew there that it didn't even exist, that we entered a portal into an alternative dimension because of how magical that place is.
That's a really good way to...
That it doesn't even exist on this planet, that all the pilots are in on some conspiracy.
Sure, like some Black Panther or Wakanda stuff.
Playing StarCraft 64 on the first level, going towards the right, under the waterfall.
StarCraft 64.
You know what I mean?
Don't even go there.
Try a barrel roll. That was good. Yeah, but it was a good time. The hardest time of my life and the most rewarding, in the best way I could put it. It was so hard. Being in a place that you don't know the language. You're sitting at a table full of people and everybody's talking and you have no idea what they're saying. And you stick out like a sore thumb. The average height in Peru is maybe like 5'3", and I'm definitely not 5'3". my buddy Freddie, best Peruvian man I know, taught me how to be a Peruvian. He would always watch out for me. We'd be going through Cusco, and he'd be like, "Hey, Chris, watch out," and I would turn, and then there'd be like a sign coming at my head, and I would always bust it down. But he would always like let me know when I was about to just face plant into something. The door at my house was like 3 foot. No, it was 4.5 feet.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's even
little adobe house.
Short people.
But it was But then it went into like maybe 7 feet inside the house. But it was like that entrance was brutal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to describe that place. It's hard to describe that much time, a whole lot of life happened.
Yeah.
And then likewise over here, I come back here. I haven't been here since 2010 maybe, and everyone's got babies.
Yeah.
Life is different. It's not
the same as when you left.
Yeah.
Like life went on.
But I feel like no time has passed.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like hyperbolic time chamber with Goku for like 5 years, and then I come out and I can do spirit bombs.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good way to put it, spirit bombs.
Yeah.
On a very basic level, I guess, comparing Peru to Hawaii, I mean, just
similar.
Yeah, I mean, I only have perceptions of it. I've never been to South America, but it seemed like the climate.
Parts of Peru remind me of Hawaii, like one of my favorite towns after the Sacred Valley, right before Machu Picchu is a jungle town called Santa Teresa, and it reminds me of Hawaii a lot. Just the environment, the jungle, the humidity, banana trees everywhere. It's awesome. I was thinking about that. I took Jordan's car and drove it to the east side today, saw some friends, and I took H3 and was just like mesmerized. It reminds me of jungle in Peru. It's just a different jungle over here.
It's a beautiful side. I love that side.
So cool. All the waterfalls kick in.
Oh, man. Especially with the rain. It was
magical
today, bro.
You guys live in a magical place too over here. There's a plant down in South America that grows in the jungle, and the only other place it grows naturally is Big Island of Hawaii, I heard.
What plant is that? Ayahuasca?
Yeah, there's a funny little plant called ayahuasca. But down there they say when you drink it, the spirit of ayahuasca appears to you like a serpent, like a snake. But in Hawaii, it appears to as a hummingbird. I always thought that was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's interesting to know.
Yeah, that people who work with this stuff for their whole lives have like this different kind of energetic presence, depending on where you are in the world when you drink it.
Where it grows.
Where it grows, that's probably what it is.
It's part of the land.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you can consume this plant like a tea, more or less?
That's how they do it. They mix the vine, which is ayahuasca, with a leaf called chacruna, which is they call the dream leaf, and it contains a very funny little chemical that has a very interesting synergy with inhibitors in the vine that allows you to ingest the dimethyltryptamine from the chacruna leaf, and it enters into your bloodstream very kind of sneakily, and it just kind of like slowly overcomes you. It's not like maybe if you're getting drunk, like there's like this point where you're like, I am hammered.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like that. You are, and then you are totally drunk. With this, it comes in waves. It'll hit you really hard, and then it'll retreat for a little bit, and then you'll think you're all good, and then here it comes again with a vengeance. So it's a very organic, very intelligent. It's hard to describe. It's a very intelligent plant, though.
When it hits you, what do you mean it hits you? Because it's not like being drunk, but
no, but they do in the beginning say there's gonna be a point where you feel huasca. You feel like you're a little dizzy or drunk. That's as it starts going throughout your body. It's completely natural, and it's just a part of it.
Now the ayahuasca, the main component of ayahuasca is dimethyltryptamine, DMT, right?
That's what induces the visions.
And that is found in our brains when we dream.
It's already in your head, and I've always found that interesting. The only times that chemical's dumped is when you're born, when you dream, and when you die. You get these interesting dumps of dimethyltryptamine on your brain. I think when you're drinking ayahuasca, you're essentially just dreaming in the wake state. You're awake, but you're having that dimethyltryptamine dumped on your brain, and you're not asleep. So I think you're dreaming while you're awake. So everything you're seeing, it's hard to call it hallucination because that implies something that doesn't exist. What you're seeing is completely of you, and it's coming from you,
right?
And it's your mind and your heart. And people are like, they always try to downplay it, like, oh, it's just in your head. Well, yeah, right. I'm gonna quote Dumbledore right here. Of course, it's in our head, but why does that make it any less like real?
Right.
If you can't trust yourself, what can you trust? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like salvia.
It's a little like salvia. I always made this distinguishment. I would call ayahuasca cosmic. I would call salvia interdimensional. It's like ripping a hole right here and going and seeing what's here. Yeah, it's outward rather than inward. So you're exploring the environment, whereas ayahuasca, you're diving into your environment.
Right.
I've heard like sometimes with people that have done the ayahuasca ceremony, it can actually help them get over certain tragic, very repressive events that they've held back as a child, maybe rape, such as rape or sexual assault or heroin addiction.
Everything's on the board. Everything's on the table.
It works with you to face those.
It's important though. It's not a magical potion that's going to cure you of everything.
Correct.
It's important, and the guy I worked with on a very frequent basis always explained it to me. It's a diagnosis tool. It allows you to see yourself from a third-person perspective and find where you do need to work and where you do need to put energy in order to start healing these traumas and healing these things. But it doesn't do it itself. You do it.
You do it.
You do all the work.
It just introduces
some people need a kick in the butt.
Okay. That's good. That's a really good way to describe it, though, yeah.
You think part of it is maybe like a placebo effect? Where, I mean, he has this outstanding reputation. Well, I've never heard of it, so I don't know where the hell I've been, but, you know.
It's okay.
But it's got this worldwide, sounds like, reputation. Where,
it's starting to become very known. Yeah. I've kind of, like, witnessed it over the course of just 5 years. It wasn't very well known. Now everybody knows what it is. Not everybody, but most of the people that didn't know of it. Yeah, they're all hearing of it.
Was like a big proponent, and he was like more Western, and he went down.
One of the first Western guys to write and talk about it.
Yeah.
And now it's just catching like wildfire. People are having positive experience, and it's like I always hear that. Why do you think these things work? And you're asking, is it a placebo effect? And I'm like, it works. But I think that the placebo effect is also one of the most overlooked concepts in the medical field. What just happened? Yeah. You healed yourself with your brain. They teach us that in school, and for some reason we don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
Like when people start talking about, oh yeah, put your mind... People want to discredit it so quick, but they taught us that in basic school.
They do teach us that, but then they also flip that on us later in life, and they say, take all these pills.
Oh, yeah.
These are the only thing that's going to cure it. Not cure you. It's just going to help alleviate whatever symptoms you have. And then this
how we can keep people dependent on our product.
Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't help cure you. None of it does.
No. Then they'd be out of a job.
Of course. And that's why
the Western medicine.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm against Western medicine because I'm very for it.
Yeah.
We are the masters of physical things like surgeries. We got X-rays like no one else got. We attack physical ailments, and we think but some sicknesses I think are from the mind, and some sicknesses are from emotional events.
Sure.
I don't think every sickness stems from a physical thing. So I think we miss like the psychological disorders. I don't think we can counter that with chemicals. They say you have a chemical imbalance. I was one of those kids. I had pills for days.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel better now not taking those chemicals.
Sure.
Like way better.
Yeah.
But they're telling me, drink these.
Well, they overprescribe. That's the problem. I mean, again, we're not knocking Western medicine, but doctors are so inundated with so many people, and there's a commercial every 5 minutes that says, go see a doctor, ask your doctor this. They don't want to be involved with you coming to them asking them, oh, I have a headache. Or does that mean I have cancer? No, you're supposed to go there for when you have an actual problem. Right. Not, and even preventative sometimes, but it's like, that's your normal checkups. Not all this inundation. And that's why the prices have gone up for health insurance. That's why the medicines have gone up. Like here in this country, it costs so much. But you go to Germany, you go to other countries, they have amazing health care.
I heard that's why Canadians are so nice.
Cheap. Well,
they have free health care.
Well, free is a technicality.
Someone is.
Someone's paying.
Yeah. I love Canadians.
They're so nice. They're so nice.
So you mentioned that the ayahuasca is more like a mixture of two different...
Depending on what... Okay, so there as many tribes as there are in the jungle, there's different ways to drink and consume ayahuasca, and they do it in different kinds of ceremonial settings. Some people like the yahe, there's hundreds. Everyone's playing music, everyone's moving around, and sometimes they do it for days, I heard. And then you got the Shipibo, which is one of the most well-known. They're known for all the textiles that they have. Almost all ayahuasca, like, pictures or, like, textiles you see is from the Shipibo. They are masters of the art when it comes to what they see while in that state. Oh, it's beautiful. You should check it out. But they do it in dark settings with ikaros, which are medicine songs. You're quiet, you're not moving. So different styles of doing it. But so wherever the tribe is, they're making it different as well. So you could have cielo ayahuasca, which is just water, ayahuasca vine, chacruna leaf, water, fire, and thyme. And then that's all that is. But then you got...
That's the recipe.
You got other places that serve a very interesting concoction, and you need to be careful. Like, the demand of it has gone to a point where I call them plastic shamans. Not even shamans, showmen. They're popping up and they're performing for you, but they have no background in it, and you don't know what they're giving you.
It can be dangerous.
I feel kind of obligated to just kind of show people I trust with my life. If they're asking me where they can do it, I trust these people.
Right.
And it's a personal experience, and I always pray to whatever all this is that I'm not leading people to a malicious, bad-intended environment.
Sure. I think that's important, too.
It's so important.
Super. Setting.
I don't want to influence anybody like that.
Well, because they do have, like, people that do have bad intentions for various things. Like, there's, like, different levels of shaman, I guess. Yeah,
there's horror stories. There's a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed gringas going down to the jungle, and these guys have never seen a gringa, and they're like, oh my god. You know what I mean? They're humans too. They're like old hermits in the jungle, but so I think it's important to do your research and do it thoroughly and talk to people. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
Yeah.
You'll know if you should be doing it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta listen to your
listen to your intuition. You know what's best.
Right.
If it smells like shit, it probably is.
So it sounds like there's probably the people who are just traveling and looking for sort of a thrill type of experience.
I call them bucket listers. You get the bucket listers, man.
Yeah, and then I also imagine there's probably people who are genuinely seeking that spiritual experience.
They're seekers, and there's a reason they're all called to it. I think of these. I don't want to mention names again. These couple Irish guys that. They were going into a ceremony, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get fucked up.
They're going into that.
And I looked at them, and I was like, have a good night, friends. Like, have a beautiful night. The next morning, they were completely speechless, and their eyes were wide open like they saw ghosts. And I was like, did you guys get fucked up? And they looked at me, and I was just like, Your intention and your energy going into it is essentially going to set the stage. And your breathing is going to be your steering wheel. When you're spiraling in your mind, your breathing will always be your root and your center. and it reminds you that you're just in a room full of people doing some really hippie shit, and it's actually, the world isn't gonna end. All those dead relatives you're seeing are actually still dead, and you're okay. They still love you. Profound lessons.
Right.
Now, does
I'm not sure if this is all translating into a mic into like the digital realms, and whoever's listening to this, I apologize. It's abstract. It is very hard to explain.
Yeah,
talk about any hallucinogen. It's super hard to explain.
Right.
Now, I want to talk more on ayahuasca, but there's also other ones I've heard of, like San Pedro, and that comes from the cactus.
San Pedro,
a specific cactus.
A very specific cactus, and that they call that one grandfather spirit, or the energetic presence is more masculine, which is funny because it's pure mescaline.
Right.
And the ayahuasca they always associate with a female presence, madre ayahuasca, grandmother ayahuasca. After you have dark, scary lessons with grandma, you go and celebrate with grandpa in the daytime and remember how silly life can be. So they accent each other great.
One's day and one night.
One's you do. I mean, you can.
Typically,
people do ayahuasca in the day, but it's not common.
Right.
But there are definitely practices. But yes, for the most part, San Pedro day, ayahuasca night, and that one's a heart opener.
Heart medicine.
Heart medicine. Heart opener. A lot of tears on San Pedro. I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I cry a lot now.
Yeah. Well, it's good though.
Yeah. I just played with like a bunch of hippies on Green Rose Farm. It's called East Side. Waimanalo. There was a bunch of musicians on this farm, and we all started playing, and it was just for like 15 minutes. I just forgot where I was, and it was a magical experience. Sorry, just a side plot.
No, that's good.
That felt great.
Shout out anybody? Any shout outs?
Yeah, that was a fun time.
That's good.
So, do you consider yourself a hippie?
Oh, for sure.
Is that a derogatory term?
I don't want to be a hippie crit.
Again with the puns.
I also don't think hippie is like a. It's not derogatory to me. To me, it's a mindset. It's not a style.
Yeah.
There are a lot of hippies wearing tuxedos and business suits and are doing great things. It's definitely a mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wear shoes very often. I love plants. I love my dog. I love giving hugs. I do yoga. Sometimes I'm a vegetarian. Yeah. Depends on how bomb that California burrito looks like.
Right.
I'm a convenientarian.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's good. But when you went down to Peru, were you... What was the original purpose for going down to Peru? What did you want to get out of Peru when you first went down there, and what did you get out of it after? Like, what did you realize you got out of it after?
The sole purpose of me going there was for the alternative medicine.
Okay.
And to hike the Inca Trail. I didn't realize that hiking the Inca Trail would be equal amount of medicine to any of the other things I experienced there. Hiking is you're walking in nature.
Yeah.
I walk down the street in a town and they call it walking. I walk in nature and they're calling it hiking. It's like extreme walking, but walking is healing. Moving in general. I always say if a Mother Nature can't conquer you, no person ever will. If that mountain doesn't break you, no person's ever going to piss you off enough to break.
Sure.
I've been pushed to my limits hiking. 10-day hikes in the Andes Mountains, 16,000 feet, man. I'm telling you, it'll test you.
It's very primitive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's timeless, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is, you kind of reminded me of, I went hiking on some trail in town, right? And work in the mountains. I brought my family up there. We don't get out a lot doing stuff like that, you know, but there was this period of time for me where I really got into the Hawaiian culture and history because I'm just so fascinated by it, right?
It's beautiful.
It really is, and it's a very unique culture to America, right? And again, I know
the blend.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we were hiking, and I just kind of recall a lot of these stories and the things that I read about, you know, the Hawaiians walking from one place to another. Like these trails.
Yeah.
These trails.
Sacred.
You know, They are, and they could have been there for a very, very long time. Very likely that they were. So you kind of, without the ayahuasca or without the supplements, exactly right. Without supplements, you kind of take yourself to this place, right? You kind of travel back in time, and it was just the coolest experience. Where I'm like, shit, this could have been like a Hawaiian walking right here,
and that
yeah,
it was just really cool experience. I think about that all the time.
It's mind-boggling. The best medicine is in those mountains.
Yeah.
That was, yes, I went down there for the plant medicines, but the journey there turned into something completely unplanned, and I teamed up with a Peruvian man, and we started a trekking company, and I was taking I learned all those trails and learned how to commune with the locals. Like, I had to learn a little bit of Quechua. It's the indigenous language out in the Andes. Just Spanish gets lost the higher you go.
Yeah.
The more high up in the mountains, they're not speaking Spanish. They're speaking Quechua.
Right.
Cool fact: George Lucas used Quechua in Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope. One of the alien species is speaking Quechua.
Like
George Lucas knew.
He knew already. He was probably doing it.
Star Wars makes a lot of sense. Star Wars makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I look back on it. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So I'm telling you, you're trekking for days, seeing cities that. My favorite is called Choqquequirao. Machu Picchu sees thousands of visitors a day. Choqquequirao will maybe see 500 a year. And
Why is that?
Because it's a lot of work.
Okay. Oh,
people don't want to work. People don't want to read a book. They want a video that's going to teach them everything. They don't want to read. That's too much effort. Or we just don't want to put out effort. But the juicy stuff, you got to put out some effort.
We don't even want to return the damn shopping cart to that little lane, like 2 cars down.
We leave it right in the grass.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah, I always put my carts back. Just FYI, I'm not.
Like where I lived in the Sacred Valley, my commute to town was like a 2.5 mile walk one way, like every day.
No, you mentioned that there's thousands of people that visit Machu Picchu.
Right.
But isn't the trek from like Cusco, how far it is from Cusco to Machu Picchu? Just like a direct, not any extra?
No, so it takes about, what they'll do is they'll put you in a bus or a colectivo. It's like a van full of Peruvians that's like $1. Or you can take the bus, but the first time I did a bus, I was standing up for 3 hours because one of the coolest things about the culture is all the men will give up their seats, no matter what women is coming in, even if they don't know them. All the men will take turns giving up their seats, and the Quechua people and the Peru, like, it's hard to explain. There's like a cultural kind of divide where the Spaniards and the native Peruvians and their ancestors, and then the mountain people kind of retreated and got away from the Spaniards, so they're still living how they've always lived, but the relationship between the two cultures is interesting to observe. The Quechua woman in her traditional garb will walk onto a bus, and like people who don't normally wear that kind of stuff, like the city people, will kind of like cater to them and help them out as much as possible. I've seen 80-year-old women carrying like 50 pounds of corn on their back up and down mountains that I'm huffing and puffing trying to get up, and they're sprinting up and down. I'm like herding llamas and alpacas. I'm like, Jesus, man, I'm such a wuss.
When you really think about it, it's like
just different cultures.
Yeah. We get stuff.
Yeah, and I guess depending where you are in America, if you're in New York City, no guy's gonna be giving up his seat for anybody.
I've never been. Is that how it is?
That's how it is here.
It's rude.
Really?
That's how it is here. You gotta like pull teeth to have like.
It didn't used to.
Like on the bus, I've been taking the bus this last week to get to work, and like I've observed the same thing. Like nobody gives up the seats to any woman.
It's interesting.
They have to be either pregnant or a senior citizen.
Yeah.
And even then, the bus driver is like looking back, like, "Yo, come on, guys."
3 hours standing in a bus, windy roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to respect the culture. live the culture that you're in.
Of course.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's important. Just kind of going back to the, not to make this about me or whatever, but just the studies. I've been in Hawaii now for almost 15 years.
Nice.
I've been here as an adult most of my adult life, and I call it home, and I love this place. Right, it's my home. Yeah. I will never act like I'm Hawaiian or anything like that. I'm just fascinated by the culture. And I think that's really important. It's one of the things I see in the corporate environment, especially for the industry that I work in, right? Because it's farming and it's really technical type of agriculture. We get a lot of guys coming in from the mainland, right? Because the idea is that there's not many guys here that know how to grow this kind of stuff, which is bullshit. But we see these guys come in, more or less, right? But it's internal outsourcing, if you want to call it that. And a very few people really take the time to understand the culture, and it's always a challenge when these guys come in, right? And I'm kind of on the local side, you know what I mean?
You see it.
Yeah, and it's really damaging to a certain extent, and it's almost like plantation days. You kind of got the certain people running the show,
right?
And the same old people, True. Yeah, so it's really tough to see that, and it's how do we make that change, if some of these guys coming here really took the time to understand the culture, if I was in a position to run the show, not just at the company I work for, but in anywhere in Hawaii, if people are coming in, I would suggest to them very strongly that they take a Hawaiian class or study up on some things, because it's not just
important. It's where you're living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's where our culture is a lot different than any other culture.
It's a lot different.
There's other cultures similar, but outside of the United States, inside the United States, we are one of a kind.
Sure.
Hands down.
No, for sure. One of my favorite things was in the airport when I was getting ready to fly over here was the people waiting, and I got to see some Hawaiians, and it was just a nice little, I haven't seen a Hawaiian that lived on the islands in a long time, and this guy's tatted up in the face, warrior, with his family and little kids running around, and just hearing the lingo is so good. I missed Pigeon. I missed all the silly stuff. Dude. It's so fun, dude. Yeah. It's so fun. I love it.
So, are you done with Peru? Are you on to the next stage of your life?
I'm thinking I will take small groups back with me probably once a year. I'm thinking of doing guided tours.
Like all of us?
Yeah, whoever's interested. Whoever's interested. You let me know how much you want to spend, where you want to go, what you want to see, and we'll customize the whole trip. I can go with you, or I can send you to people that I trust with my life. Freddie Ancha. His name's Freddie Lanconi. He taught me how to be a Peruvian, the best tour guide in the business down there. Been doing it since he's 16, has 3 beautiful kids.
Wow.
He is the man, huge heart. All of his proceeds go to helping rebuild the local schools.
Wow.
I fell in love with him and his family. He taught me from the ground up how to be a Peruvian, and it was very humbling as a ginormous white guy living in America to going to being a complete gringo in South America, making a fool of myself, I'm sure, around every corner, but as long as you drank with them at the end of the night, all was forgiven. Because I thought I could drink in college. Peruvians at elevation will drink you into a
elevation, yeah, right?
Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you how gnarly they are at drinking. I had an old woman, no teeth, laughing at me because I couldn't even see her. What are you doing to me right now? I was I swear I could keep up with you, but I love the cultural differences in the drinking. They'll sit in a circle with one bottle of beer and take turns. They'll fill it up with foam. Because if you fill up your glass totally with beer, they think you're depressed and you're living a horrible life and you need all that extra beer. But if you fill it with foam and it looks like a little beer cappuccino, the foam adds flavor to it for some reason, they say, and they just shoot it. Ditch the foam, pass the bottle. And you do that all night. Wow. Until cases of beer are gone. And it's easy to keep track of. Like, I've had a beer and a half. You've had 2 beers. It's easy to keep track of bottles. Right, but you're taking hundreds of shots of beer. You have no idea how much you've drank or how much you're gonna drink.
Right.
And then I pass out, I wake up, and they're still going.
Jesus.
The drinking cultures are crazy. Like, I just came back from Korea, and
I love
drinking
Korea.
in Korea was insane.
I bet,
There's such a defined culture of drinking there. Like, who pours for who opens the bottle, how much they pour for it, the order that's poured in.
How wild.
Yeah, like the youngest should be opening the beer and pouring for the oldest first.
Yeah.
And they always pour with respect, which is with 2 hands.
Yeah.
And when you're on the same level as far as respect goes, they will receive it with 2 hands. But say if I'm pouring for my boss, he'll just hold out 1 hand.
Right.
And so if I would ever hold out my glass to get poured for with 1 hand, I completely disrespected everybody else there.
Oh, man.
Right.
How many times did you do that?
Once.
Vibe changer, did everyone shut up?
Well, it was because I ended up calling out the boss about it. They went from a single shot glass to a triple shot glass, fully challenging me on how to drink. And we're drinking soju here, and that literally translates to alcohol drink. And he didn't finish his cup, so I called him out on it. He's like telling me it's the Korean style to drink out of the water cups now.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And I know that they were testing me because I'm not from Korea.
Not from
I'm from here, and they're like, let's see what this.
Oh, we got a little island boy out here.
Let's see what he can do with the drinking. And I called him out on, you didn't finish your cup. And he said, you held that out with 1 hand. That's the Korean style. And I was like, okay, got it. They definitely pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Humbled you.
Such small details. And that, it taught me so much about the culture.
And that's just you cross the border, it's going to be a little different.
No, it's not crossing the border. We ain't crossing the border.
I heard they were open borders now, right?
No, I don't know, man.
Is it still sketch?
I don't know. There's a lot of.
I heard Trump and Kim, they fell in love. Yeah, I heard they fell in love.
It's the funniest thing.
Trump
is like a father figure to this little Korean
how
guy.
Cute.
I absolutely love Korea. I was there for about a year, and it's got a lot of aloha.
I love their StarCraft culture.
StarCraft.
Dude, the people there in Korea are amazing.
It feels good going there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like a sibling country, if you want to call it that. I mean, I hadn't even realized that South Korea and America had such a great relationship up until a few years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
we just moved our troops in, right?
No. Well, we're starting to backtrack.
No, I know, but that's how it started, right? We just kind of moved in, and the war kind of standstill.
The Korean War back in the 60s.
Is that what happened?
No, there was a ceasefire. That's what it was.
But what caused the ceasefire?
Various things.
I think we rolled up all fat, dude.
No, we did. We did for sure.
Classic American.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we did. We put a lot of troops there back in the day.
Is there any concern that if we pull out troops that it's going to go back?
Sure. But that's what South Korea wants.
Right.
We had riots outside where we were staying, all every weekend. Sometimes
Nuts.
depends on the season. But we had a lot of people they would have riots and protests right outside the gates of where we were staying, and then and we were really close to North Korea. Really close to North Korea.
And when you're there, do you just have in the back of your mind that North Korea is there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Is that
for sure? No,
interesting.
We were 30 miles away from the DMZ.
Just in your back of your mind.
30 miles. And
that's wild.
When you think about it, that's nothing.
I just think
we had a fake missile. We had this missile scare. I'll say. I'll just say we had a missile scare.
You're gonna
get
this podcast shut down, bro.
15
I've seen this happen before.
15 minutes they gave us, right?
Yeah.
If 30 miles away from North Korean border, we have no time at all.
What did Hawaii learn in that?
We are not prepared.
You're not prepared.
We're definitely not prepared.
I was so horrified. When I was watching it real time, I'm oh man, I don't know if anyone's even gonna take this seriously. For one,
the last stop that I had was like, I'm gonna miss my cousin Christian.
You were calling me the whole time, and at that time,
like, is this real?
Yeah, I was lived next to Schofield Base.
Yeah.
And so we had everything blowing up around us. Like, I had Jordan calling me.
Alarms, and you're still sleeping?
Dude, this is real. I had my parents calling me. I had my sisters calling me. But the one thing that kept us calm, because we lived next to Schofield, was we didn't hear a single siren.
Interesting.
You know, obviously, if a missile's coming,
Schofield's
going to be blowing up.
They're going to be alerted.
Things are going to be taking off. Sirens are going to be going off. Like,
the weirdest thing was there was some sirens that went off across the island in random places.
Sure.
They weren't sure if it was going to... I heard that you guys shot it down.
Who knows?
No, that's what I heard.
I'm not going to say yay or nay,
yeah.
but I've heard the same stories.
Very reliable resources. I heard you guys shot that thing down and just kind of like... You can't tell the public, hey, there's a giant ray gun put on the planet, you know, that Men in Black theory. A lot of people don't want to know what's going on. That's why they like erase their minds, because you go on your 9 to 5 a lot better. You drink your Coca-Cola and watch the Kardashians.
The craziest thing was... yeah, don't talk about that. Fuck.
Name drop Kardashians.
Hashtag dash.
Hashtag
my state of mind.
That's so funny.
No, but the craziest thing was 3 weeks prior to that, I had, of course, nobody knew that was going to happen.
Right.
But I had explained to Alika, I had gone through this whole training of like how to survive in a nuclear fallout.
How do you?
They're
like Indiana Jones and jump on your fridge?
You jump in the Fallout 76. I can't wait for that game. Fallout 76 is coming in. No, but we had just, I had done some research. I had bought some like iodine pills and stuff, like so you can flush your thyroid. There's all these different things, but it's like there's a timeline on when the nuclear fallout happens, when it's safe to go outside, when it's safe, what's safe to eat, when it's safe to eat. Like plants and animals are typically safe as long as you. No, you can eat like fruits and vegetables and even animals as long as you like wash them off. The animals are pretty much fine, because everything collects. It's not in their meat.
Like for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Especially after a certain time.
Okay. Because aren't people still being born with like 9 arms over in like Fukushima? And like Nagasaki? The birth defects are still happening?
There's a debate. Well, there's a debate on there. I mean, definitely a lot of radiation is very bad, but there's a certain period of time after a nuclear attack, if you don't get killed by the blast, for instance.
Oh, right.
Right? The fallout that falls
the residual.
down. That falls down, you don't want to inhale that. That's what kills you. And getting that actual radiation, being exposed.
So we just need gas masks, right?
You need gas masks. You need to be indoors, like a shelter or someplace, like at least have an airtight, because you don't want any filter stuff coming from the outside into your house.
Right.
Because that'll destroy you. If any particle that, you know.
But if you didn't go out and buy supplies, you're kind of like.
You have to
be prepared.
You have to be prepared
for a nuclear
fallout. So, next question. Did you guys go and prepare ever since?
No, definitely not.
I did not. I was just like, it's gonna happen. It's like,
let's go surf the tsunami, bro.
Me and my dad tried to paddle out. My mom tried to. She's like, "Are you guys stupid?"
I always we're gonna survive about Hawaii. You guys are gonna surf the tsunamis.
We're gonna paddle out a mile and survive while everybody else on land is destroyed.
Yeah,
and my mom was just like, "You guys are retarded."
Right.
And me and my dad were like, "No, we're loading up boards, Mom. We're going."
Yeah.
You know?
There's only a few miles that will really be affected, like where the blast area is. Like you could survive probably about 5 miles out. You're not gonna get touched by any. You're not gonna kill from the initial blast, right?
But it's the fallout.
It's the fallout that kills you. So as long as you survive like the initial blast and you're in an area away from that blast, you'll be fine. As long as you stay indoors for like first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know. But you can go outside. You just have to wear protective covering, you know, and then make sure you have something that like blocks.
And hopefully the mutants haven't already emerged and shooting Gatling guns at you.
Just watch out for them.
Those mutants, man.
Rad roaches.
Yeah, the rad roaches.
I love that game.
Just use my fat boy.
Yeah.
Gotta find your pit boy too.
As far as preparedness goes, though, it seems like a nuclear fallout is like it's one of those things where you got to have all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right. So, like for example, I can get a gas mask, but I live in a freaking wood structure condo on Kapolei.
Right.
And where am I gonna go? There's no
Right.
cement structures I can go
Right.
hide out in.
My house.
Oh yeah, well shit.
Right.
Well,
I
that's
got
what
all
it is. Like,
center
that's gotta be a
blocks.
part of the
Yeah.
plan. It's like same thing with me. It's a wooden plantation house out in Wailua. Like, there's nothing. Everything's gonna get into my house no matter what.
Right.
Your house will
How much
get
I
blown
prepared.
away from the blast. No fire, no nothing. Just the air.
It's the 3 little pigs right here, dude.
Yeah, so it's all about having that plan.
Big bad
and
wolves
that
and nuclear
puzzle
bomb.
pieces, Yeah.
Well, it's scary seeing people put their kids down in like manholes,
Sewers.
I mean, what would-
But that's like you have to do it. But like
Yeah, like, I don't even know how I would have reacted if I had a kid.
I literally
like,
had
holy
my
crap.
family in a circle just hugging each other. Like, all right, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh,
There's really nothing we can panic about. Like,
Yeah.
we're and
Yeah.
if, like I said, if Schofield had blown up and all kinds of
Then
sirens and the
yeah.
whole thing, we probably would have gotten to our car and drove our asses onto Schofield.
Yeah.
And been like, you guys, we're America. You're gonna take care of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One of your buildings, like, I just drove through all your fences, like, get me there. But that didn't happen, so it was just like, well, we're literally on a coin flip.
And
It's
they
either
probably
happening or it's not.
and they probably wouldn't hit Schofield. They would probably hit one of the like the main, like probably Pearl Harbor, Hickam.
Sure,
like,
but it's not
Marine
public
base,
knowledge
or
to
even
know
like
that
Waikiki.
5 miles radius. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it's not.
We think a
Yeah.
nuclear bomb's gonna level the entire chain of islands.
Yeah, right.
You hit Oahu because that's gonna be the main target with all
Sure.
the different branches.
Yeah.
Like, we think it's gonna level out to Kauai, Niihau, and Big Island.
Yeah. Now, if it hits the water, like we'll get a huge fucking tidal wave.
Probably
like,
do more damage.
Probably
to be
do
honest.
more damage. To be honest.
So, okay, I feel like that if it happened,
Right.
I swear it did though. They shoot this little bomb.
Yeah.
I think they're checking the defenses. What happens if like 100 come? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think, I mean, if I was playing StarCraft, I'm throwing a Zergling in first before I throw in hundreds of
Go
Zerglings.
and check in.
I go like, yeah,
Flood it.
sorry Zergling, I choose you. You just suicide them into all these siege tanks just to see how many tanks there are. Like,
Right.
But the capability to launch a nuclear ballistic missile is pretty extreme. It's
pretty
not like
complex,
a regular
yeah, sure.
a regular missile, whatever
Right.
that means, right? Where I think, and I don't know these statistics, but North Korea apparently has like these bunkers all in the mountains. They can shoot off like 100 regular missiles.
Yeah.
But I mean, just sort of being around the nuclear stuff in my past, I mean, it's extreme. Just what has to be done to launch a nuclear missile.
Yeah. It takes.
You know.
It's a little
so they
more.
might have used all the resources for a ghost.
They
and
could have.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they did say that there was like a huge earthquake in North Korea, and then as soon as that earthquake happened, they were like there was probably a underground nuclear test, or a facility that blew up.
Interesting.
Right? They had a backfire kind of
Right.
situation, and they're like, "We want to be friends. All our time is gone, you know." We don't have anything. Let's give up our nukes.
Oh,
Like,
that's
we're fine.
funny.
You know? We don't have any more. But don't tell them that.
We just want to be friends now. Don't blow us up.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah, they had a huge earthquake. It was pretty massive.
Yeah, going back to that on like people's minds, like when I was in Korea, there was only one day where a bunch of, I don't even know what type of jets, but they're definitely fighter jets, you know, whatever the Korean Air
Took a
Force
little
is.
lap.
And they raged across Seoul, and every single person on the street stopped and stared.
You probably
Because
seen
it's
it.
so abnormal.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody was just like, it like changed the vibe of the entire street.
Everyone was like, wait a second.
Yeah, like, so I stayed in Gundam, and like, the street's constantly busy. It's like Waikiki on a Halloween night, every night. You know, so like, it's all about like, people getting off of work, and going shopping, and cafes, and bars, and then you can just feel the whole vibe just change, like, what are those?
Yeah. Why are they sending
And
those
for me,
things?
not being from there, like, feeling that change, I was like, oh god, we're gonna die today. Oh,
You
no.
can't escape.
What did
Korea,
Trump do?
Hawaii,
What did
dude.
Trump do? Like, oh no. I better get back on my Facebook and my Instagram and see what's going
Dude,
on.
what happened, man? I leave California and I come back. Trump's president. Marijuana's legal. What happened?
In some states.
What I
some
missed?
states.
In some states.
What I missed?
Not in Hawaii. Not yet.
Just medicinal here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's your ballot.
That's-
That's the beginning stages.
Yeah, I remember it was.
Didn't Louisiana or who?
I heard Louisiana was one of the first. Colorado for sure. California,
How does
Washington.
Louisiana do it? Your state do it before we do.
I know, right?
I promise you, bro, this state smokes it more than any other state, whether they're recreational or medicinal. Like, everybody here smokes it like it's legal. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't even need to be legal.
It's already a part of the culture.
Like, yeah.
Don't ask, don't tell.
I've seen cops, I've seen security guards put it in their pocket.
Like, oh, I'm gonna use this later.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, here I'm smoking a doobie, and this guy comes by and he's like, "Yo, you guys got to deal with that, not here." I'm like, "Can we put it in my pocket, not yours?" Like, what's that about? Like, yeah.
I think it's difficult to see, something that's so ingrained throughout the whole country. Like smoking pot. It's not heroin. It's not
a cash crop.
It's nothing. It's just ayahuasca in a different form.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of people have done it. It's standard American culture at this point.
Well, it's been in American culture for hundreds of years.
Tobacco got this country started, I think.
But even
with Trump president, weed's gonna get us through it, dude.
To the point, but even like what was it, Colorado? They had so much money. You were talking about.
Yeah, they gave money back to the people because they made so much money off of the taxing of it. California it's funny. The people in California that you would never talk to about weed are now asking you questions about it, and it's so funny to have like this. My friend's grandma come up to me and ask me if I know what's a good strain for her to try. I'm like, oh my god! Like, are you crazy? Like, this is awesome. Can I be there?
You want a buddy?
It's fun to watch. I cater weddings in San Diego, and sometimes we'll go to a wedding where the bride and groom opt out of liquor, and they have a weed bar.
That's amazing.
Wow. They gave party favors to everybody that were like Jays.
Yeah.
They were all weed pens. Every person there got a weed pen.
That's crazy.
And the place was lit up all night. I'm all trying to serve food, and I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. Like, this is the coolest wedding I've ever been to.
But you don't do stupid things on weed.
Yeah.
No.
The stupidest thing I've done is pass out on plans. Like, we make plans, and then you get too stoned and you pass out and wake up happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where alcohol, I have a string history of just like horrible decisions. Horrible decisions.
And that's
things
legal.
You don't remember, and it's legal, and it's super easy for kids to get a hold of.
It's interesting that a substance that literally, if you drink too much of it, your brain disappears.
Right.
A new set of eyes come in. And like that bullet, like we all have alter egos when you get too drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's completely fine, but something that's gonna help you sleep at night.
It's gonna put you in jail.
Completely wrong.
Like even the argument that says like that alcohol makes more money, that's why it's legal. I guarantee if weed was legal in all 50 states, it would bring in so much more money than alcohol. Absolutely. So much more money.
The hemp industry, period, is... There's so many uses. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but the first cars ever made from Ford, they didn't run on it, they were made out of it. Hemp fiberglass. No one ever wants to talk about that. Our cars were made of weed.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Well, even like George Washington had a hemp farm.
I heard in California it was Hearst. You can go visit his house, Hearst Castle, Cambria, California. I heard he had a lot of influence in the newspapers with his paper business, that he bought a lot of anti-marijuana ads, anti-hemp ads, because hemp was in direct competition with his paper.
Yeah. They
could do more, they could do cheaper, he was like, forget that. You can look up the ad. It's like, it says you'll turn into a rabid, like, I don't even want to say, because it's racist, super racist, super like, and they listen to that guy?
Yeah. It was some of the other ads that were less racist, but still fucking racist.
So racist.
Like, it would make black people stare at white women.
And it didn't work.
Stare white men in the eye.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It was so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
That's so ridiculous.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They probably wanted to
mind-boggling, dude.
But it's super racist, and that's what it was fed off. And even the cotton industry, that was another one that was like huge.
So crazy.
And it's so much easily farmed, and it can be used for way more stuff than cotton could ever be used for.
Well, I'm not against hemp. It is fairly destructive to the ground, though.
Interesting.
It's pretty intensive.
It is a weed.
It's actually a good question to you, because you do agriculture stuff. Continue that.
I couldn't explain the details, but one of the doctors I used to work with, actually one of the guys who helped to invent Roundup, this guy explained to me. So in Hawaii, Cynthia Thielen, I think her name is, she's been pushing hemp for years and years, just can't get it through here. And I don't know if it's a lack of support or what it is, right? But I've had extensive conversations with this guy, and he explained in full detail how sort of destructive it is to the ground. And we implement very intensive replenishment practices, sustainable practices, if we call it that. Even with just the corn that we grow, and corn is nowhere near as sort of destructive, to lack of better words, right? But it's every crop you got to rotate crops and stuff to sort of put back into the ground. Yeah. So hemp is really tough. I don't know that it would ever be. You could grow it commercially, you could farm it commercially.
Right.
I just don't see it being on this ginormous scale as cotton and corn.
It's interesting because they're preparing for it to be. Yeah. I've seen it in Oregon. I'm starting to hear of it more in California. People are starting to invest a lot more into hemp. Rather than marijuana, they're starting to go the other direction with it. Yeah. And I've heard of a lot of people buying up a lot of land, and their plan is to grow hemp. But I'm not sure they know what it does to the soil. Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder. I wonder. I'm gonna.
But I will say, to be fair to hemp, any crop you grow is going to pull stuff out of the ground. So it really comes down. So to our practices where I work, we brainstorm intensely on how can we replenish this stuff, in a predominantly natural way. So whoever's working on hemp, of course, there's a lot of smart people working on hemp agriculture, and they have been for a long time, right? So I'm sure there's some smart guys out there that have a plan.
A plan of attack.
What I mean? So, yeah. But I'd be interested to know even more about where it is.
Do you think you guys would ever pick it up?
No.
Ever?
I don't think so.
No.
No. Corn, soybean is so immensely profitable.
Yeah.
That's in Peru too. That's nothing but corn, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
So much corn that they grow.
So
corn and quinoa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of their major exports.
Yeah.
It's so expensive though, they can't buy it. They grow it and they can't even buy it.
Really?
Because it's so expensive.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know in New Zealand, they're starting to create these hemp farms.
Yeah.
To build hemp bricks.
Yeah, because they are still paranoid about marijuana. I lived in New Zealand lived in Wellington for a little bit, and it's funny when you hear someone. I heard my friend trying to come up on some weed, and the way they were talking about it was like really like, hey man, you got like they said you can't talk about it here. I was like, I smoke marijuana. Like I yelled it like, you're not allowed to be drunk in New Zealand. You can buy beers at a bar, but the second you start dancing a little weird, you get kicked out, bro.
Really?
It is so strict with the alcohol there. It was impressive to see
crazy.
how they regulate their alcohol like no other country I've ever been to.
Wow.
Going back to cultures and
America
drinking.
and Hawaii, it's pretty crazy.
We're belligerent.
Well, in Korea, you couldn't find anything ever. No matter what you wanted to find, all you had was tobacco and alcohol.
Just everywhere.
They smoke tobacco a shit ton.
It's too much. I came
over in Korea.
Horrible habit. But so I'm opening a restaurant, and I had to educate them about the liquor license here. And it's so much more strict here than in Korea. Anybody can serve it. You can go to 7-Eleven, sit outside and drink beer. In fact, they provide tables and everything for it.
If you want it.
Yeah, you can walk down the street with an open container And like, so when the bosses are coming here, and I have to educate them about like, Hawaii is, you have to have a liquor license. You have to have your servers go and take classes to become educated about it.
Like,
you have to have a manager on duty all times with a certain card about it. They were mind boggled. They were just like, why is it this way? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, but I think it's so important to regulate alcohol that way.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was really interesting that so all the soldiers that are in Korea stationed there that weren't 21 yet, they wanted to go by the Korean age standard. So Korean,
you're born one.
You're born 1 year old because you spend a certain amount of time in the womb, right? Yeah. So they consider that 1 year old. Yeah. As soon as you're born, you are one.
So are there 20, abortions in Korea?
It's not
like at what point do they have a soul? You know what I mean? They're saying they got a soul like immediately.
They are.
Interesting.
That's something we didn't talk about. We're there.
That's way too deep. Subplot. We'll talk about that on another one. But I thought it was so interesting that these soldiers are like, oh, but I'm 21 in Korea.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But they're not. They're 20 years old in America, and that's what they have to go by. So they wanted to drink. So there's a lot of soldiers that get caught drinking underage.
Even though they're
21 in Korea. But they're only 20 in America. They were like, fuck that. Don't even try that.
Funny.
It's weird.
Super strange. They ask me how old you are. And I'm like 29. They're like, is that American or Korean?
Like, I want to apply that to...
What is it even the difference?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I'm 29 years old. I've been alive for 29 years. I don't get it. I'm like, well, if you're 29 in Korea, it means you're 30.
Yeah.
Like, if you're pregnant, can you go in the carpool lane?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you regulate that? Like, hey, it's alive, bro. This is my passenger.
Ooh, that's a good...
You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
What can the cop give you a ticket for that? You bring up some philosophical debate about...
Shit, dude,
you know what I mean?
No.
Like, what would you say?
Having that conversation with the cop, and you're like, dude, I just want to go to work.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm in the carpool lane. I got my passenger right here.
Dude, that would be dope. All pregnant women, go carpool.
Yeah, you know,
carpool. See what happens.
Power to the women. Power to the women.
Free the nipple.
Free the nipple, for sure.
I love American culture, dude.
It's so
We're so weird.
That's crazy. When I was in Korea, I was always Hawaiian.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I never said I was American.
Yeah.
Because,
unfortunately...
Just when a rocket's coming towards you.
Even then, it was just like... You're like,
I'm
an American
American base, you know. You took me over. You might as well take me in now too.
I'm Hawaiian American.
But it actually made a difference being when I was in Korea. Like,
it does.
when I'd tell somebody that I'm Hawaiian.
You know what's interesting? I say I'm Californian.
But you're American, bro. You're part of the 48 strong. Like, it made a huge difference. Like, if I had gone, so I went to a surf camp, the East Coast, Young.
You'd say you're a Hawaiian.
Instantly.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, look at me, like I'm fair. You know, they're like, oh, you're American. I'm like, no, I'm Hawaiian. And it made a big difference during the surf camp because they almost treated me like a celebrity. Even I'm nowhere near pro. You know.
Yeah, but
like,
you're serving bigger waves than they've ever seen, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like
having to charge walls. Yeah. On the. Yeah.
If I had walked in there and said I was American,
no respect.
It would have been different.
Yeah.
A whole different.
You're a black belt saying you're Hawaiian, dude. Black belt surfer.
Yeah.
So throughout my whole trip, it was always I'm Hawaiian.
Interesting.
Not American.
Yeah.
And they even asked like, what's the difference?
But check this out. American means North America, Central America, and South America. Down there, the Peruvians are Americans. If you're from Panama, you're an American.
Technically, yeah.
Sure.
North American versus South American.
Because technically, even
it's
the American continent.
Yeah.
It's I always found that interesting.
Yeah.
So you're a United States citizen.
Right.
USA.
Yeah.
That's different than American.
That's the.
I learned that too down there. I was like, I'm an American. My boss Freddie was like, me too. I was like, you're so right. I was like, yeah, you're totally right. And he goes, well, why not? I'm on America too. I don't know how my Peruvian friend turned Russian, but that's the accent. There you go.
I absolutely love Korea, and when I was in the service, the typical people that were serving the service with me, they would like just get fucked up all the time. I'm not saying I'm not painting anybody with a broad brush, but there was definitely
I've never heard that ever in my life.
a lot of Koreans that would stay away from the typical soldier, but when they found out I was from Hawaii, that we have such a different culture here, they brought me to everything.
Yeah,
dude, they brought me to the underground bars. There's like 3 levels underground, and each one has like a different guard guarding the entrance, and you can only be Korean or like let in, like vouched for by an actual Korean. Yep. So they let me into all these crazy bars that no.
Are you sure you weren't with the mafia?
No,
it's possible.
I guess so. That's possible. But
without even knowing it.
Dope. It was dope. It was
That's
so
awesome.
crazy to get to see these places that nobody's ever seen. I'm sure other people have seen it, but
no white boys ever set eyes on these.
It's just so crazy. It's just a different crazy. And then StarCraft. Holy shit! I got my ass kicked.
So I experienced the same thing. Like I would find.
I know you're paranoid. Every time I play, you never leave your base.
Yeah, I know. Well,
you have a fear of the outside world in the StarCraft world. They scarred you, dude.
Yeah, they did.
But I experienced like in myself in Korea, like I would go and explore. Like I was there for training, for chef training, and I would go to work, and then the people that were training me had their own lives in Korea. It's not that they're gonna play host to me the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'd walk around by myself.
You have to explore
and go into buildings and be like, who knows where I'm going, up or down. You know.
Do you ever walk into the wrong place or the right place?
Definitely the wrong place where I'd walk in and be like, yo, Mekju, there's beer.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're not Korean, beat it.
Ooh. Quick.
And then I'd go in there with a Korean guy.
And they get you.
And it's welcoming. I say, oh, come inside, drink beer. And it's like, well, dude, I was here 2 days ago. And I didn't get in. And here's the same dude that's telling me to get out of here 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm here with my friend that I made at the restaurant.
Right.
And they're speaking Korean or whatever. And it's not even like it's just like, yeah, go sit down, whatever. Booth, same thing. It's just a normal bar even.
Yep.
Nothing even special, just a normal bar with a booth, beer, like.
But they don't let any outsiders in unless
strange.
you're vouched for.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
In Peru, I was just gonna say in Peru, there's if you see a pole with a plastic bag at the end of it, it means they're serving chicha, and chicha is a alcoholic drink they make by fermenting their corn, and it is gnarly.
Not to be confused with shisha.
Not shisha, chicha morada. Or chicha fresca, or chicha quinoa. They make it 3 different ways. Sweet, alcoholic, and one's very refreshing. They drink with like a meal. But if you want to get hammered, Mamita in the mountains will put a pole with a plastic baggie at the end of it. And she's brewing her own kind of chicha. And you can literally, it's her house. It's her living room. You can walk right in and sit on a bench and she'll give you a glass of chicha no matter if you're Peruvian or white or whatever. It's just interesting. They were welcoming even to the foreigners, where if I was in Korea, they'd be like, get lost, gringo.
It wasn't just a single instance that happened. Like, just no, beat it, get out of here. You're not Korean. Like, and I would have to tell people, like, a good example is when if I go to the club, and I'd be in the club, I'd be drinking and hanging out with people, and they're like, are you American? I'm like, no, I'm Hawaiian. Oh, holy different.
The way they say it.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, you're American?
Well, the military presence there it's probably created a vibe.
A little bit,
kind of like created
reputation.
Sorry, guys, I kind of contributed to that.
Are you over there too? You've been awfully quiet.
I'm not trying to dog it, but like I'd be sitting there on the side, and I'd watch a bunch of GIs show up.
Yeah.
And then 4 or 5 strong,
dude,
and then just get completely stupid on the dance floor, and like
they get into fights all the time.
I mean, yeah, I know.
I mean, like, and again, like me and Nate were soldiers before, so we're not dogging any of the military. We're not trying to say that, but there's some people. There's a wide range of personalities that joins the military, right? And there's a lot of people that just like to get fucked up.
Because again, going back to the club, like you could see the different cliques of people where you had the foreigner business people, you had the students, you had the guys that were obviously in the military because they were the ones acting retarded, the only ones in there, and it's just like it sucks because like I'm American, I have to be American, and I don't want to have those people representing America.
Right.
That's just what was going on.
I worked in tourism in South America, and unfortunately I found that out too. We definitely are our stereotype.
It is.
And I'm like,
they were the ones that were the most hammered.
Yeah.
They were the ones that were most aggressive with the women.
And loud.
The loudest
ones.
Entitled is the word.
Yeah.
You know, it like
with the wall now, we're in a gated community, so I get it. We think we're all high end.
Yeah. Well, like in Hawaii, it's a big thing too. Is we get a lot of the tourists here, and we get a bad rap for the whole Holly mentality and whatnot, but
hey, I went to school here, bro. It's real.
It's real. Kill Holiday is real, guys.
It's real.
All your kids don't have to deal with that nowadays.
You don't have to. That was in the past. That was in the past.
Kill Holiday. No, Holly showed up to school.
I got jumped, bro.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I was lucky my dad was brown.
It was horrible. It was horrifying. Never been a fight in my life. I'm getting thrown against the lockers by like a giant Samoan. Like, holy crap! Please don't eat me. I am not mochi ice cream.
That's fucked up.
Don't you taste like it? Man.
Yeah, kind of stepping back to the whole soldiers and other countries thing. You know, you think about it. Like most of this, and this is not a defense of horrible behavior, right? But you know, you pretty much got kids. Most of them are 18 to 20 years old.
Right.
And
high stressful environment.
Stressed. They're alone for the first time
fat
in their life.
Paychecks and nowhere to spend it.
Well, I don't know about fat paychecks, but it's it builds up after a while, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, they just go out there. It's like shit. They're basically going from high school. They're already partying and
right away.
And and then now they're like, you know. No mom, no dad, whatever. Basically do what they want, kind of, you know.
And it really depends on the culture you grow up in, too. Because if you grew up in a very, like, disciplined culture, you're not going to act like that, typically.
I've met a bunch of military kids like yourself, even, that got into the military and didn't act a damn fool.
Yeah. Well, because
of how they were raised.
Exactly. We grew up here. It's a different culture here. It's crazy. It's how much different it is.
My brother was 18. Adam was 18 when 9/11 happened in basic training. He was the first wave into Kuwait.
That's right.
Pretty much became an adult right away. But when I lived with him for about a year in Key West, kind of make a memory with him. I never really hung out with my brother before. And I couldn't help but think, he's my older brother, but I couldn't help but think that we were equal in the elder department. Like, I didn't feel like his little brother. He felt like my little brother. And when I thought about it, it was like his whole 20s were robbed from him. And he was barely getting to experience what it was like to be in his 20s, now in his 30s, after he gets...
He was sent out in war.
Yeah.
3 times, I think. Wasn't it like 3 times?
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Right away. First thing. They said they were on the border of Kuwait and there was rockets flying over their head and they were like, guess the war's starting, and shoot anything that moves was their order, and they went in. Like, hey, you gotta come to Peru with me. I told him, please, just take some time. He did. He came down.
How was that?
I'll let him tell you.
Shit, we gotta get him in there.
Get the atom bomb on the podcast,
dude. I'm so down. If he comes, you gotta come.
I mean,
you gotta come back out and be on the podcast with him.
I hope we all come, dude.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Hopefully it's like a circle jerk and we all...
I'm sorry,
I had to do it.
That's quite a visual.
My hands are right here. I
heard you guys do some weird shit in the military.
Not that shit.
Depends what branch you're talking.
So Army, what were you?
Probably shouldn't say.
Army?
Navy.
Nice.
Yeah. We get the brunt of the jokes.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. We're a bunch of seamen, bro.
Coincidentally, I just got one of those Navy jokes a few hours ago.
Really?
I was hanging out with some buddies of mine. One of my bosses is going away, and the guy is like, he just starts like out of the blue, submarine joke, and it's just like one of the dumbest jokes ever, right? 300 people go down on a submarine, 150 couples come up. Oh, ha ha ha! I never heard that shit. Fuck out of here, bro.
Pretty good, though. It's pretty good.
So, I can verify that that's not true. I don't get
only 125 couples come up, not 150.
So
the other 50 kill themselves.
Navy gets the brunt of the jokes. I thought it was the Air Force.
No, well, Air Force is in air conditioning.
I heard they do
flying and those kind of jokes.
They're like spoiled.
So who in which branch is the most
roasted?
No,
revered.
Yeah.
From my understanding, I've heard
that's subjective.
If there are people getting the brunt of the jokes, there's got to be people like getting neglected from jokes.
Well, everybody gets the brunt of the jokes in some ways. Like the Marines are the ones that go in, but all the other branches think they're the fodder, cannon fodder.
Oh, yeah,
just you know what I mean?
Dummies.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So, but
no offense
they're not.
To the Marines
No, they're definitely not.
Yeah.
So, but these are all military jokes. Everybody, there's like almost no limits to the military jokes.
It's like Hawaii. There's no limits to the racial jokes. Like.
Yeah.
I love racial jokes. If you're not an alien, it's not a race, so let's be racist, dude. It's funny.
Everybody asks
we're all the same race.
Everybody, dude, we're probably the most racist state in the world.
You guys are. The first time I ever experienced prejudice was here.
We have a joke for every race. We don't discriminate here.
We hate everybody equally? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. We have a joke for, like I said, every single race.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, like white, black, Mexican, Japanese,
what's
Portuguese,
your favorite?
Samoan.
Mostly Portuguese.
How to be Portuguese.
Portuguese are the most awesome jokes.
I've heard that from a lot of people
here.
They're
the most well-taken jokes, I would say.
For some reason, everyone likes to cap on the Micronesians and the Portuguese.
Micronesians,
well, they set themselves up for that.
This is what I experienced.
Well,
yeah, well. We don't discriminate here.
We don't discriminate at all. There's no discrimination. It's a joke for everybody.
Everybody's such a poi dog too here. You know what I mean? Like, somebody tells a joke and I'm a part of it.
Right.
Someone tells a different racial joke and I'm a part of that.
Right. We're all mutts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're a mixed plate.
Yeah.
If life started in Africa, technically we're all black, right?
Exactly.
Now I got a question though. So, like in Korea,
completely ignored that.
That's too much. We're gonna get shut down for that. No.
J.K. Smiley, dude.
So, in Korea, how they can kick out Americans or seemingly Americans, right? So they can almost discriminate in bars, right?
Well, yeah.
Almost. Sounds like they do.
To be honest.
So,
I did.
if we ever did that in America,
bro.
Fucked up.
Nah, depending.
Just imagine.
Where you are, though.
Well, yeah, it is.
I went from Florida into Georgia, and holy shit, was that a different vibe. Like, I went from Florida, there's hella just colored people, black people, Cubans, everybody. It's a mix.
Yeah.
And you cross that little bridge into Georgia, and I see the biggest Confederate flag I've ever seen in my life just flying. And I looked at my brother, and I was like, "That's okay?" He's like, "You're in the dirty South now, bro." And I was like, "It's just mind-boggling that it still exists." Like,
well, I mean, again, a lot of people argue that the Confederate flag means different things, but you know.
It's just crazy to me.
If we in America, if we were like, "Yo, go kick out that Asian guy from the club,"
right?
It just start a giant uproar.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Because if we
that happened to me in Korea. I was in the club.
Yeah.
And somebody complained about another white guy, and they pulled me out.
You're the white guy.
And I was like, dude, you sure you have the right white guy? And I knew I nailed it on the head because the poor bouncer was like,
you all look the same.
Right. You know what I mean? And like, a lot of Americans will classify Asians as that way.
Yeah.
They can't tell if you're Japanese, Chinese, or Korean.
It took some skill, but I got
people
it.
Here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We know that you're Korean, you're Chinese.
Yeah, you can tell. There's the skeletal structure is a little different.
It's just so different in different parts of the world, different cultures.
Dialects, for sure. Like, know.
Don't classify me as just a normal white guy. Like, go find the white guy that was doing that. Because I definitely wasn't that guy. You pulled the wrong guy out.
Right.
I'm an extraordinary white guy.
I'm Hawaiian. Can't you tell from my fair skin? Come on.
I wouldn't say white. I'm clear.
Clear? Jeez.
I'm transparent.
You are clear.
I'm clear. I'm not white. I'm see-through.
Definitely transparent. That's for sure.
That's okay, man.
I love culture, though. Like,
it's crazy.
Really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Experiencing such a different culture. Hawaii has cultures that come into it.
Yeah.
but then you go and experience the real culture in their home place.
I always get excited.
I think it's so beautiful
amazing.
seeing other cultures.
I'm stoked when I see a Hawaiian off the island experiencing other cultures. You guys don't ever go anywhere.
We do. We go to Las Vegas.
That's the Ninth Island,
all the time.
I was like, but also, you don't have a reason to.
True.
There's a reason everyone comes here, but it's good once in a while to get off the island, stretch your legs, dude.
Yeah.
Be a haole for once.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah.
Complete foreigner.
Yeah.
And like, when I was there, you could tell when someone, where English was a second language, and I would like, zero in on people and be like, yo, you speak English for a first language, where are you from?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're Massachusetts. Oh, I'm from LA, I'm from New York.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I had somebody else zero in on me and was like, bro, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Hawaii. He's like, yeah, I know. Where?
He was
like, how do you know? He's like, because I can hear it. I'm from Hawaii as well.
Yeah.
And it's completely different.
It's
like, our English is
sounds so hostile.
Where are you from, bro? It is that way, like, because it's obviously like in Korea, you're either Korean or you're not Korean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Hawaii where there's a melting pot of culture.
Yeah.
And somebody with a different accent and just lived here this whole life, but goes home and speaks Vietnamese, or goes home and speaks Japanese, but comes and speaks to us pidgin in school.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that English was so different.
Yeah.
And that's why they were like, so where are you from? Where are you from? I can hear it. You're not from the States.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're from Hawaii. Where in Hawaii? He ended up being from Mililani.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, Mililani, I'm mind blown right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're really the first Hawaiian guy I've met here. I've always zeroed in on like, hey, you speak English, but where in Europe are you from?
Right.
I'm from Manchester.
Yeah.
You're definitely from the States. Where are you from? I'm from New York.
Or even
from
Canadians.
LA.
Wow, they got a lot of Canadians in Korea.
They have a lot of Canadians everywhere. Australians, Canadians, and Germans. And a few Israelis. Those are the most common travelers I run into.
Yeah. Dude,
all my Canadian
bar I
friends.
went into was a Canadian bar in Korea.
How fun.
Dude, and
what's Korean for A?
Hey.
But they had
they
had this. It was a peanut bar. Like, I mean, it serves beer, but there's peanuts everywhere, and you throw the peanuts on the ground, and then the people come and sweep it up.
There's a place like that I know of too.
Like, what? That was the first place that I've ever where you throw stuff on the floor and like
sports bar in.
And if you don't, it's kind of like disrespectful.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like, why aren't you throwing your peanuts on the floor?
Yeah, you think our tables are too clean?
Yeah, throw them on the ground. Don't put them on the tables. Like,
those places kind of give me anxiety.
I didn't know what
There's like a big old mess.
Sure.
To sweep all this up so bad. Just give me the broom. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Just keep eating.
I'll just go around. Like, just throw me peanuts while I do it.
Yeah, it's freaking OCD. It's horrible sometimes.
Oh, it is.
You know?
Yeah.
Some people can't have their food touching. I gotta mix it. Everything has to be touching. You can throw it in a blender and serve it to me as a drink if you want.
Oh my god, I had a horrible experience with that. We had a guy that wanted, when I was working at a cafe, he wanted his Portuguese sausage breakfast blended. We're talking about eggs, rice, Portuguese sausage blended, add water so he could drink it.
It's just like it's already chewed.
The 3 cooks back there with me, or it was the 3 of us, were dying, gagging over the trash can, trying to pour this into a cup. It just was brutal. We couldn't do it.
Dude, I'm getting chills right now.
We could not do it. And this guy, we didn't put water the first time. The waitress came back and was like, hey, take this plate and blend it. And the guy wants it in a cup. And we're like, okay, if he sends it back, we're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
The first time we're blending it, it's coming out chunky. Like, literally, we had a trash can by us because we're heaving. Dry heaving, trying to pour this blender into a cup.
The egg, dude,
over easy. I didn't like scrambled or anything. Over easy egg. We send it out, and he sends it back, and he says, add water so I can drink it. You know, so it basically, the 2 of us walked out and left the one cook that said he would do it for him. We said, hey, dude, you said you'd do it. You said you'd do it. You're on your own. We're going to go take a smoke break right now.
Dang, dude.
It was the most brutal thing.
Hey, be honest.
We're not going to blend any meal for you.
Be honest. What's the most you've ever messed with somebody's plate?
Oh, man, the most. So I've only... Okay, I'll admit it. I've only sabotaged one plate. 10 years of being in the kitchen, I've only sabotaged one plate. The guy ordering the burrito Okay, I worked at a Mexican place at the time, and we found out that the guy that ordered the burrito was an absolute perv. So he would go to foreign Asian countries and find the youngest one he could find. We found out through his doctor, who got too drunk at the bar, talking about his medicine, all his STDs that he has.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Fuck.
So, in our eyes, here we have some old perv with a bunch of diseases, finding the youngest ones that he could find and passing it on.
Please tell me what you did to his burrito.
Fuck everybody who thought badly of Chris.
Yeah.
It's the only place.
If you're a pedophile, do not go to Chris.
Chef, like, why is
Beware.
the point of like sabotaging a plate that you put so much time and respect into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's a work hard.
It's like 2 or 3 hours of prep to make that one burrito.
But what would you do to it? Like, what
we did was I had no gloves on my hands, and I ended up going as deep as I possibly could into my pants. We're not gonna get into
Wait, front or back? Front or back?
We went all the way.
The gooch, you went the gooch, the taint, the gooch.
We went past there, knuckles deep, okay? We went knuckles deep. We went knuckles deep. And I ended up gathering as much of my own essence that I could possibly get off of myself at the time. And we're talking about, I don't know if you ever guys have been in a kitchen for 8 hours and how sweaty and nasty you can get.
Oh yeah, chafing.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're chafing.
Yeah, I got as much of the essence as I possibly could.
I didn't think this podcast
no hair.
would be so good.
Yeah, you can't leave evidence. Like, of course, I'm not going to do the whole waiting thing and pull out hairs out of my pubes and like lay them in there for him to find.
Well, it's painful too.
You know what I mean? But otherwise, like, I made his burrito
rolled the
burrito with the nastiest hands that I've ever had ever.
And you're just grinning the whole time, a little smirk on your face.
Rolled it and like made my friends put up the plate. Because then the plate, the service
contaminated. Yeah,
it was the only burrito that had it.
Toxic little bomb,
don't touch the burrito. And then I sat in the window and just enjoyed every bite that he took.
I feel like I'm gonna vomit. I'm gonna purge
and
the buckets.
The best part is when he turns around and tells the server, "Man, this is the best burrito I've ever eaten." My whole crew are just laying on the floor dying because they've watched me do the whole thing. I mean, like, it took me like a good 30 seconds to soil my hands.
You were dedicated.
I was dedicated, man. Like,
dude, this is worse than waiting.
It was bad.
This is worse than waiting.
Waiting had nothing to do on it. Waiting had nothing to do on it. Like,
so
ain't no
nasty.
garlic salt going in there. No, we're talking about yesterday's meal going in there.
Oh
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only
Dingleberries, dude. Can I get some dingleberries in that?
Dingleberry burrito. That's what I'm saying. Like,
But he loved it.
he loved it. He said it was amazing.
You know what? Maybe
you found the secret
And like I said,
ingredient.
it was the only plate I've ever sabotaged.
I think you're
Because as a chef,
justified.
you just can't take that time.
God, I feel like
So do
puking
all
now, dude.
the work.
It's so nasty. That was so gnarly, dude. But I have such a creative, imaginative mind. I can taste it right now.
Okay. Hey, I'm glad you taste it. That's amazing.
Hey, Queez, can you have me a beer, please? Oh, man.
he's about to throw up.
But that line of work, like, I've seen
Thank you.
a lot of people sabotage plates.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Nate.
And it's just something
No, not your name. I'm trying to guess your drink. I work in coffee shops, bro. I can usually pick out people's drinks. Yeah, it's a latte, but I don't see him going very exploring. Maybe just a vanilla latte,
I'm saying it's
if
a
anything.
latte. He's a latte guy.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
Wow.
Just
Only for today, I had to get the hot drink for the podcast.
What was it?
It was a cafe latte, but with the vanilla.
Nailed it.
Because they didn't have the vanilla latte for whatever reason. So, but I like it light. I like it super light. These coffees and shit, you know, I don't know why or how people can drink them with just so much freaking sugar. It's beyond me.
Can I get a sugar water with a splash of tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's vicious, dude. I feel bad about serving people some drinks that they order. I'm like, holy crap! Like I see you like looking at your medicals over there, and I'm like, I can't even hand you this right now.
It's crazy. Like just this alone comes with like 4 scoops or whatever, or pumps of sugar. The flavoring. I cut it down to 1, so it's just enough to.
Always cut it in half. It's smart.
Oh God, man.
After working in coffee 12 years, just shots of espresso, bro.
That's the best way.
Yeah, just give me it on ice with a little bit of honey. I'm good.
Yeah. Real fast, it goes straight through.
We just started serving CBD coffee at my establishment, my work.
So what is that like? Because isn't there a calming effect of CBD? But what about the coffee?
It's anti-inflammatory, so like people whose stomachs get tore up by drinking coffee, it is. Oh my God! After 12 years of coffee, the last few months I haven't been able to really drink it because it tears up my stomach, and I'm like, oh no, like I've overdone it. Like I'm there now, and then I tried the CBD coffee, and I'm like. This is the transition. So if you've overdone the coffee or if your stomach's sensitive, CBD coffee is a good alternative.
Okay. What exactly is it?
It's coffee with CBD and coffee and funny enough the hemp have really cool synergies with each other and there's trace amounts of THC. In order for the CBD to work, if I understand correctly, I just learned how to do all this, that there's like 0.001% THC in the CBD coffee because it needs to have CBD in order to interact.
Almost like an inhibitor.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Nothing beats a joint and a cup of coffee in the morning.
There's
just nothing in the world that does that.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't eat anything that day, so it might have had something to do with it. But when I drank it, I was just like, "Holy,
is it an experience or is it just a different flavor?"
It's just a completely different feeling from coffee.
Does it give you a rush or a calming?
You're heightened for sure.
Okay. More alert.
Very alert, but very. Rather than feeling jittery from the coffee and like your energy is rising.
Yeah.
Your energy is rising and it plateaus and you're chilling.
Okay.
It like gets you there and it doesn't. There's no like crash. There's no like jitters. It like is a complete neutral kind of ride.
Interesting.
And I was all about it.
And you go to bed fine. Like.
Oh yeah. I mean I did it at night. Yeah, I went to bed very early.
So you get like super jolted from coffee. Like me, like I drink coffee.
But
it's probably more of a habit. I don't notice this like, you drink coffee, you get energy. I don't notice that. I'm sure it kind of exists, but it's not just like this level to like,
the next level.
Right.
You know, people talk about it all the time. Like I have
no idea. I started drinking coffee that tasted good.
Yeah.
I love the flavor of coffee. And then it just became that habit of like, okay, I wake up, make a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, now I need two. And then I only noticed that I was addicted to coffee because the day I wouldn't drink coffee, I get the headaches. And I'm like, what is going on? What's going on? And then I drink a cup of coffee at 3 p.m. and my headache would disappear instantly.
Yeah.
And then I research it, talk to people, and they're like, dude, it's the caffeine in your coffee.
Headache, yep.
It's one of the only addictions that we all accept. I always think about this.
Even at work. You know what I mean?
Everyone
no matter what.
Yeah. We're all on board to help each other with each other's addiction when it comes to coffee.
Well, what's funny is when you go to AA, you have people that show up to AA
with coffee
just to drink the coffee.
yeah.
They know they're going to AA, which is going to keep them away from any other of their other habits.
Yeah.
Because they get to go have a cup of coffee.
That's interesting.
Free cup of coffee.
Free cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And usually the guys that host the AA meetings, like I've been there.
Yeah.
Coffee's really not that expensive, if you have a coffee maker. But I can understand that, just the whole point of trying to get away from the other habits.
Yeah. It's just that nice to know, like that comfort. I'm going somewhere that's keeping me away from everything else, and I get to have my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And from the restaurant point of view, it's like 10 cents a cup. And here we are charging $1 to $3 a cup of coffee.
Oh yeah, right? Dude. Like I said, been serving coffee a long time. It trips me out how much people spend. I see the same person walk in sometimes twice, 3 times a day. Oh, here she comes again. Extra whipped cream again. Okay, here we go.
$30
like, are you sure? Yes.
$30 a day.
Dude, because at Starbucks it's like
5 or 6,
$10, $12.
The more they add to it, the more expensive it gets.
Right.
The custom drinks.
Oh my god, it blows my mind these people's orders. When I'm behind them, it's like, can I get a cappuccino? And these people are like, can I get a this, with a this, and a half of that, a this, that, and the other thing? And I'm like,
I don't want a full venti, I want a 3/4
I
venti.
do got to
venti, half ice, double pump, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, did you even order coffee?
Yeah, what?
It's a fashion trend. Really.
It is so ridiculous.
I do have to raise up the coffee shop I work for is called the Lazy Hummingbird, and they are off the hook. Good friend of mine, Danielle, runs it, but she's hip. She's brought in the CBD coffee, but guess what? If you go out and vote, she's going to give you a free cup of coffee. If you come in with your little pin that you voted, you're getting hooked up with a free cup of coffee. If you went to the beach and you cleaned up a bunch of beach and you have a trash bag, she's going to give you a free cup of coffee.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love working for this woman.
That is cool.
She started cutting out almost all the plastics. We let you choose if you want a lid on your coffee because that's more plastic. We have alternate to straws, which are cardboard. They get soggy, so we're still trying to figure that out.
Well, there was a Shark Tank episode we saw recently where they're having these. It's a type of metal straw.
No, we sell those.
Reusable.
Reusable metal straw. We sell them. We sell you a cleaner if you want a cleaner.
Yep.
We're selling more mugs now. If you come in with your own mug, you get a significant discount. Yeah. Like, we're really trying to cut back on plastic use. We're trying to encourage people to get involved with their politics. As far as I can remember growing up, I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about religion. Well, look what happened. Now everyone's involved because when you're not involved, a bunch of old people vote, and this is what happens.
Yeah. See, I think that's a service that should happen at coffee shops. Like, you bring your mug and your straw in.
Yeah, discount.
You bring it in, and not even that you keep it. Like, here, turn it in.
Oh, yeah.
And then they do the washing and everything, and they give you a new one that's ready to go.
Essentially,
get rid of all your plastics, one and done, right there.
A lot of our customers save. We make acai bowls, and they're in these big plastic containers. A lot of our regular customers will just save that container, bring it back, we'll wash it, and give them a new one. We're trying, bro. We're trying.
That's pretty cool.
There's floating islands out there made of plastic.
Well, there's a like 15-year-old kid that's trying to fix that. He has these little these bots to go out there and clean it.
Hopefully the Illuminati doesn't get a hold of him.
Within like 5 to 7 years, no, he's got like so many investors that have invested in him, and what they're doing is they're taking the trash that they make, they're melting it down and creating other products out of it, like
awesome.
Shoes and hats and glasses and stuff like that. So people are buying stuff from that too because they just want to be a part of the culture of the recyclable.
It's just mind-boggling. We went from the Bronze Age to like industrial to the gold, and now we're in the plastic age.
Yeah.
Like the Incas left huge ruins, and we're gonna leave
giant ruins of plastic floating.
That's our legacy. Like if we just got wiped off, like holy crap, that's just so weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that floating island you're talking about is not an exaggeration.
Have you seen it?
It's huge. It's like
I've seen it on television.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
television. You look it up, watch YouTube things on it. It's massive.
I bet you it's a whole ecosystem too.
Well, it kind of is, but it's crazy because
spearfishing around that thing.
when you look at,
we should go dive that thing. Just check it out from a little.
You're not gonna eat anything that comes off of that island, though. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. It's scary. But it's like eating my burrito, bro. Who knows?
I don't think that's a conversation we want to go back to.
It left a bad taste in my mouth.
You're not the only one.
I'm curious to know, I came into this podcast talking to Jordan, and we were like super stoked about all this sort of spiritual stuff that we're going to talk about, and we sort of touched on it at the beginning of the podcast. I would say that I'm kind of fascinated with spirituality and religion. Not that I practice it very much. It's just a very interesting topic to me. And you've been in Peru for 5+ years, or almost 6 years. And you've touched on this already, but what were one or more of the significant spiritual experiences that you had out there?
Right. Yeah, dude. Where to even start? There's like categories that come to mind when I think about these extrasensory experiences. Ayahuasca induced, of course. Sober. Sometimes each are equal in their influence. There's powerful things down there, things that I can't even explain to you because you need to be there to feel it.
Sure.
We live, I call our little cities like little beehives. They're made by us. We exist in them. They're artificial constructs, but for the most part, we created these concrete jungles. And we don't ever go out into nature, which is arguably our natural environment. We feel afraid out there. Like, there's predators out there, bro. Like, they can eat you. And things that you don't know about that could kill you. When you leave the cities and you go out into the mountains, is the example I'll use because that's where I was. The world is a little different. You start to realize there's unseen forces at work, and there's just very interesting happenings. It's very hard to describe, but the further away from civilizations you get, the more mysterious the world gets, which is arguably its natural state that we're just so foreign to. Right, and we say it's extraordinary or it's supernatural, but to me it's just super duper natural. Like it's just totally natural.
You think that is maybe psychological, where we built these constructs, these cement jungles, and you said that when we venture out into the jungle or whatever, because we live in these constructs, maybe it's a psychological thing that, like, we're scared, but it's kind of arbitrary because we're used to the protection.
Natural phenomenon people think are aliens. I've seen it happen. Just like, that's an extreme example, but normal things, like to people who live in those environments, are mind-boggling to us when we go out there. They just blow our brains apart, and we just want to hear it all the time. I gave tours of Machu Picchu. People have never even been to Peru. Oh, you went to Machu Picchu there, aliens built that. I'm like, have you ever been? They're like, well, no. And I said, but the aliens built it, right? Like, you know that, right? Like, come on, like, you gotta be there to feel it. Some of the gnarliest things that have ever happened to me have been totally sober, walking in the mountains. I have porters that I hire for these treks. If you want your gear to be carried, I hire porters, the locals, we pay them. Sometimes horsemen. Some of them will not camp without mirrors under their pillows because the land that we're trekking across is sacred to them. A lot of temples, a lot of sacred spaces, and some of the campsites are right by temples and things, and they start to get noticeably anxious. And they will literally put mirrors underneath their pillows, face down, when they sleep. Because they said the spirits that are in the earth will come out and they'll possess them. But if there's a mirror there, it'll reflect them back into the earth. They actively practice this, like it's real to them. It was made pretty real to me too. My sister Courtney came down. She wanted to do the Sakantai trek, which is a 4.5 day trek to Machu Picchu. You go to Humantai Mountain, Humantai Lake, which is gorgeous. It's a glacier lake, and then the mountain pass. Sakantai means the indomitable mountain, savage mountain. And one of the campsites is, you're right at the base of this 23,000 foot mountain, and it's daunting, it's huge. The presence, you're in the shadow of this thing, and at night temperatures drop below zero. You wake up and your tents are frozen solid. And I remember that night, I brought extra alpaca, heated up water bottles to stick in your sleeping bag. You wear all your jackets, you wear beanies, all your socks, everything. Your sleeping bag better be awesome. And I brought extras for my sister and my brother-in-law. And I asked them before we went to bed, do you need anything extra? And they were like, no, we're good, we're prepared. And 10 minutes later, I get all snuggled up, like all bundled up, and I hear my sister, Christian, we'll take everything. I'm like, it's cold, it's cold out here. So it was so freezing that night that I was wide awake almost all night. Completely sober, completely senses are heightened. It's freezing. I can feel my whole body, and I'm like breathing into my shirt, trying to make it warm. And I have to pee so bad, and I'm holding it in so I don't have to get up because it's cold. And I'm like just to the last minute holding in my pee, and my chef in the next tent just starts screaming his head off. Absolutely just screaming his head off. And I've heard this before, I've experienced this before. The porters will have like these gnarly nightmares, like of like their spirits around them. They always have like the same story. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go pee. Like I said, like, okay, I'm gonna check on him and I'm gonna go pee. I'm getting up. I get up and I unzip the tent, and as soon as I get outside, we are completely surrounded by Quechua people. Like completely, there's hundreds of them. hundreds of people all around our tents, and we're out in the middle of nowhere on top of this mountain. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. I just walked out of the tent and I probably peed my pants. Like, just we were right there, like, hundreds of Quechua people, and they're all looking at me. But they have no eyes. There's 0 eyes. They're all just completely blank sockets. And I'm just staring at all these things like, oh my God, like, what is this? Like, oh my God, what is this? They weren't looking at me in any malicious way. They weren't looking at me in any kind of positive way either. It was more of this, like, we see you. Like, we know you're here kind of thing. And we're like, there's an offering you give to the mountains before you hike. And I make all my trekkers do it as my Peruvian maestro, Freddy, taught me. You give offerings to the mountains, to the Apus. They don't pray to a god, they pray to Pachamama, and they give offering to the Apus, which are mountain spirits, mountain protectors. Every mountain is Apu something. Apu Machu Picchu, Apu Sakantai. I named my mastiff Apu, like, he's my protector. And the woman was holding a quintu. It's an offering of 3 coca leaves. And you breathe your intentions of why you're on the mountains to all the surrounding mountains, and you give an offering to the earth, and you put a rock on it, and that's your intention. And then you go for a nice little hike. She was showing me, this old woman was showing me this quintu, and she blew at me with it. Boom! Completely, like, got hit with this, felt this gush of wind that just hit me, and, like, opened my eyes again, and they were all gone. Like, what in the hell was that? Like, I can't talk about that to anybody. No one's ever gonna believe me. Oh, you're doing ayahuasca. Oh, you're doing this. They really, people don't want to believe it. I've tried to tell the story a couple times. And then I realized I don't really care. Like, that was one of the gnarliest things that's ever happened to me. And it was powerful. My sister, for some reason, was right when my sister was there, and I was taking her on this trek that I've slept on many ancient sites, sacred temples, pitched my tents right next to, like, never have I ever had an experience like that where completely surrounded by a bunch of eyeless ancient Quechua people. Hundreds, dude.
It gave me chills.
It was like Lord of the Rings and Aragorn's going to summon like the dead army, dude. It was insane. They looked solid, but they weren't solid. And I could see them, and they could see me, and they were like looking at me, and it was intense. But so it's like a tip of the iceberg of like an experience that spiritual, maybe. Otherworldly, probably. Unexplainable, probably. But I think there's a whole bunch of stuff we don't understand, and we want to understand it, so we put it's spiritual. It's a ghost.
We put it in a box.
We put it in a box so our mind can conceptualize it, but it's abstract. Like, I have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
I can call them ghosts or spirits all I want, but I have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's easy for me to say that because now I have something like, okay, it was this. It makes me feel a little better. Yeah. But honestly, no clue.
I just find it interesting how you told the story where you said you came out of the tent and there was...
Yeah, it was intense.
But this is the way you said it, right? You said, I came out of the tent and there was hundreds of people standing around. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, this group of people came out, hundreds of people, right? Because the way you explained it and characterized it, it was real.
It was completely real.
Yeah.
And
it took me a second to realize that, oh my God, none of them have eyeballs.
Yeah. Right. And then you said, they don't have eyes, but they're looking at me, which is ironic, obviously, right? But it's
we're aware.
Real.
Ironic.
In the house for sure.
Yeah, it's the puns are real today.
It's hard to explain that to people that don't experience such things. Like, I've had a very similar experience down at Mokulea.
Oh,
where people don't understand like how spiritual Kaina Point is. Like Kaina Point and Puena Point is where the dead walked off the earth. Yep. So all the spirits, that's where they went. And I had an experience where me and my wife and my baby were out there at a vacation rental. My mom used to clean vacation rentals, and it's really a big thing on the North Shore vacation rentals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're renting to people that can afford it and not have houses for the locals.
Yeah.
But in a weird sense, like, those actually provided for our family as well.
Yeah.
And we got to take advantage of those houses. Beautiful houses.
Yeah.
And here we are, like, we have a period of time where there's nobody in there. And me, my wife, and my baby, my 10-year-old now, she was 8 or 10 months at the time.
Yeah.
And me and my wife were just enjoying the night, and my baby wouldn't stop crying. And babies are so perceptive to spiritual energy. And she wouldn't stop crying. Mom went to go feed her, take care of her, this whole thing. And it went on for like an hour, where it was strange that she wouldn't stop crying. We could always... She's either dirty, you change her diaper, she's hungry, or she's tired. And we went through the whole checklist, and she just wouldn't stop.
There was no
and it was
answer.
such a strange, really, really strange feel to her cry. So I ended up being just like, you know what, screw it. There's something here. There's got to be something here. So I literally ran around the house, ran outside the house, checked everything, nothing's around, whatever. And I went into the living room and was just like screaming to the living room, like, okay, if you guys are here, show me. You all, whatever is here, please just show me. And like I closed my eyes and opened my eyes, and there was literally a black parade running completely through the house of similar, but they weren't so solid. They were very wispy, smoky, no eyes, you know. And the parade had stopped to look at me. Like, it was a parade through the front door, and it's just like any other Hawaiian. Any other Hawaiian, like, when you listen to Hawaiian stories, it's bad to have the front door and the back door completely in line with each other.
Right.
Because that's where they walk through.
Yeah.
Talking about men and hoonies and the night marchers here,
Yeah.
they walk straight through it, and there's a respect that if ever it comes through, you just completely fall down on your face. Don't acknowledge them, but don't look, kind of whole deal. And here my dumb ass is calling them all out. You know what I mean? And it was just strange to have them just pop up. Like I literally closed my eyes, shook them open, and was like, okay, what the hell's going on here? Did the same thing. I was like, no, you're not. That's not happening. Closed my eyes, like, okay, what's going on? And one popped out to talk to me, while the rest continued their march. And like it was strange through the night, because even before this incident, like the house is located right on the beach with a seawall, and the way that the waves were hitting, there was a constant mist of ocean hitting the wall and going back up. And
oh man,
the guy that popped out and talked to me basically was just like, yo, what are you doing here? And I had to explain to him, like, look, I'm a native Hawaiian. You know, my father is Hawaiian, my grandfather is Hawaiian.
You're making my baby cry, brother.
And my baby is crying, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, so I so deeply apologize for making a ruckus to you folks. Like, I had no idea. I was literally calling upon spirits to, like, show yourselves, and they did. And that spirit had just, like, explained to me, like, basically, all these houses are in their path. And we walked outside and turned around, and you could see the snake of fire coming down kind of point.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Coming straight down by the skydive zone.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see it. It's not even I was just sitting there. I'm like,
that one.
What is going? It's a snake
I'm always
coming
looking
down.
at that mountain with some weird, like,
And
there's
they were
something
coming
there.
straight through. They were hitting the water and dissipating.
How wild.
And so that's what he explained. Like, you know, you're in the way. We're all in the way here, and it's just what's happening. And the only reason why I'm talking to you is because I do feel the connection of you being Hawaiian, and you need to know that we're not happy. And so we ended up having this long ass conversation. Like, it was insane. I barely even remember the conversation, mostly because like we sat down on the seawall, and he ended up explaining what I believe they thought Hawaii was supposed to go towards, and how disappointed they are where Hawaii is now.
I'm sure.
You know, Brada is in his songs tells you, like, what would the ancients say if they came back now and seen where Hawaii was at?
Yeah.
And completely was that song that just touched on. It was like, I'm sorry, I don't know, and it sucks because like, here I am a Hawaiian, can't speak Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Born and raised Hawaiian, and the culture is dying faster than anything else out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've gone to Korea now. You speak Korean in Korea.
Yeah.
You come to Hawaii, you speak English.
Yeah.
You go to anywhere else in the world, you speak their native tongue.
Yeah.
Not Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it was just like this insane experience.
Making me want to go learn Hawaiian, bro.
Well, your dad and sister are too, yeah?
They are too. Well, it's funny though, like a friend that I made through surfing and everything, he's not from Hawaii, and he will school almost any Hawaiian on culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he took the time to learn it. Because he was so fascinated about it.
My boss used to tell me that in Peru, he would bring me around all of his guide friends, and he would lift me up and said, I bet you he knows more Quechua than you guys. He would always say that.
Yeah, this guy Aaron, like I'm here Hawaiian, and he would rule me on what plants they used, the order of kings, how the monarchy works,
and
how the villages work. Like, I actually ended up learning a bunch of Hawaiian culture from this haole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
I think humility and being humbled is a powerful practice.
Yeah.
And anytime you can learn something from someone who never thought would ever teach you anything, I think that's always powerful.
That just goes right back to my chef thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're always open to learn. I can learn something from my dishwasher.
Oh,
I can learn something from the head chef. Doesn't matter. I have something to learn from each person.
From
no matter rank, no matter tier. They all have their own experience that can teach me something. Yeah.
I want to go camp there now, dude. We should go camp over there.
Trail of fire.
But anybody, like, you talk to fishermen that are out there, like, they have experiences on the wide.
I bet. Oh, I never even thought of that.
I've talked to fisherman friends where they're pulling fish in, and they can see the fish, and literally a hand comes up, pulls the fish back down. And there's and they reel it in, and they still have their weight, their bait, their hook,
everything,
and they just fought this fish for half an hour. And they
all that
have
should be gone.
Right. It should be all gone. If like something happened, your line snapped, anything of the sort, like your bait's gone at the very least.
Right.
You know, but here you brought it close enough into shore, close enough into the rocks. You have your friend flashlighting it.
I mean,
and a hand comes in, pulls it down.
We can only really perceive a very small portion of like the actual world that we live in. That's why we have infrared and why we have all these things
technology
that
helps us. Technology helps us a lot.
It's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how quick we are to like completely it doesn't exist.
Right.
I think it's crazy to me.
I think you're right. I can ask Jordan what his experiences were. You guys gave me your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's more. I can tell you mine. You talk to anybody in the world, 99.9999% people have these experiences. But I don't know if it's the culture, society as a whole.
Get rid of it or sweep it under the rug.
Put it in that box. Oh, it's a ghost.
Or it's evil.
Yeah.
Don't
accept it.
Which is where religion comes in. Right, and I kind of want to ask a question about that. Maybe we can get into that a little bit later. But yeah, it's like we actively try to reject it. Why are we doing that?
Like why is that the natural response?
Right, but I think just my thoughts is that most people fall into some religion, formalized traditional religion, and if you have an experience that doesn't fall within the guidelines of that religion, it's not real. It didn't happen. It's fake, right?
Forget about it.
And you're forced to put it in that box, and you're not a crazy person, right? But it just didn't happen.
Right. But it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I've said that story to so many people. And they're just like, bro, what were you on?
Yeah.
What were you on? I'm like, I was on the earth.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I was out at Kana Point. Like,
sobriety is the gnarliest thing.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
No. Like, I've experienced other recreational things, like mushrooms, where, you're seeing things.
Yeah.
I've experienced, like, LSD. where it's not that you're seeing things, but you're perceiving it differently now.
Yeah.
You know, it's two completely different things. And nothing has been so spiritual as a sober night on kind of point. Your sober night down in the mountains.
Yeah, man.
You know, like...
Or even when you got sick. There was a time when you got sick.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's a little different. Sometimes it's not so friendly. I learned the hard way, there's some temples you just shouldn't go to. And when they tell you don't go, either you should listen. I've always been a trial by fire. Or in this case, trial by temple, gringo should never walk into.
Sure. Sure.
Like our hail.
It's like the hail. It's like a lot of that experience that I went through. Like it would have turned bad had I had been different heritage, and I had to explain
different vibe.
Yeah, you know. And
you could have been skewered right there, dude.
Well, what blew me the whole thing about that experience that I had down at Mokulia was once they figured out I was Hawaiian.
It lightened up a little bit.
My baby stopped crying.
Awesome. How funny!
Instantly. And then me and the one, for lack of better words, spirit or Manahuni that actually took the time to talk to me about it, we sat on the wall, and my poor wife sat in the house like, what's going on? She's literally watching me talk to air. And she did. Like, I came back in.
But she saw you talking.
And she was like, who were you talking to? What was going on out there? You've been out there for an hour. I had no idea how fast time flies.
I mean, dude.
And she
it
told
doesn't
me,
even
like,
exist.
You hollered off, freaked out. 2 minutes later, Taya passed out. And it was like an hour of her crying.
Right.
Like this, that strange, weird, different, like.
And you can tell by babies' cries, like the
It's
difference.
different. Once you have
there's
young
a-
kids,
yeah.
like they're hurt,
Yep.
they're hungry,
They're
they're
faking
irritated.
it.
Everyone.
Or they're faking it. They figured out how to get mom's attention. You know, and this cry was just
Something
so
else.
bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, and she said, as soon as we could hear you from the room, you freaked out there. You literally freaked out, and 5 minutes later, Taya went.
Animals too,
Ow.
man.
Dogs, for sure.
Super
Dogs
sensitive.
specifically. In Peru, there's a really cool stray dog culture. Oh my god, I befriended a pack of dogs. Like,
That's cool.
it was so rad. People would make fun of me. I'd roll into town and I had a pack of dogs with me. Like,
Alpaca dogs.
if you want to go to Peru, I'll pack your bag for you, brother. That time I got sick, something jumped on me at that temple is what happened. And it took about a week for it to kind of like show its teeth. And this is hard to explain, but lucky I'm crazy as hell and I researched this stuff and I'm obsessed with it and I knew what was happening as it was happening. I didn't realize it for the first week, but when it finally decided to show its hand, I was like, "Oh, this is happening right now. How did I miss this?" Dogs that used to walk around with me all the time come run up to me and like say what's up. All of them would show their teeth at me and like growl at me, bow their head at me, and I'd walk by them like, what is going on? Like, they saw something in me that wasn't me. And even my teacher, I turned the corner and I was like, usually I go up to him, give him a big old hug, and we shoot the shit. I couldn't even look at him. I ran past him. I'm like, if I look at him, he's going to know something's wrong with me. This is like how my mind was. I'm like, that's even weird.
Yeah.
That I'd feel weird about looking at him. I wasn't acting like myself. For a week, I experienced every sickness you can think of, from puking, diarrhea, to headaches, to nausea, to everything. I didn't know what I had because it kept changing every day. And people told me that they would hallucinate if they got really sick. Like, oh, I was so sick I started seeing things. And that's never happened to me, but I woke up on that. It was day 6 of being sick, and I woke up that morning to a floating head in my room. It's like ethereal, like kaleidoscopy, rainbowy, but there's a face just looking at me above my bed, and I'm like, I am really sick right now. That was my first thought. I was like, I am really sick. This is what people mean. Like, they see things. Like, I attached it to that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time was like, you haven't eaten in days. I'm gonna make you something to eat. And I'm like, all right, I'll try to eat. get up and I sit at the table, and she gives me this bowl of eggs, scrambled eggs, chopped tomatoes, onions, and the best detail was garlic. I think garlic is what kickstarted this thing, this whole ordeal. It's showing its hand. I took a bite. I went immediately for the garlic clove. Stabbed the garlic clove and then scooped, I remember. And then ate. And as soon as it hit my mouth and I started chewing, my whole body started, like, I got this huge head up my spine. It was like this wiggling thing. And then it hit my head, and my whole head got super light, like I was coming, like I was going to faint. And I pushed my chair back, and I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, I'm going to faint. Like, I'm about to pass out. And I remember her just like dropping what she was doing and walking up to me. And I remember just taking a big old breath like I was diving down into water, just. And as soon as I exhale, boom, I'm flying out of my body down like this vortexing, like totally stereotypical tunnel. And I could see my body, and it's getting further away. I see myself sitting, but I'm flying down the other end. And that fucking face that was floating in my room is attached to a body, and it's flying the other way. And I'm like, oh my God, something's trying to take my body over. Like, it was feeding off of what I think was my negative energy for about a week. It probably takes a lot of energy to manifest. And this fucking thing was eating off of me for a full week, making me feel like shit. And I think the garlic is what triggered it, which is funny, that whole vampire legend.
I was about to go into the detail of vampires and garlic, and like cultures that eat garlic. Being a chef, like every culture uses garlic for a specific reason.
Not just 'cause
it tastes good.
It's a natural antibiotic. Yeah. It has profound effects. It saved me from parasites down there. Garlic. I want a garlic hat or a garlic shirt or something. And it was really funny. And this is I don't mean for the conversation to go this way, but
no. You
want to go down to the religious thing. One of the biggest influences in my life was my great-grandmother through my adopted family. She lived till she was like 103. This woman was awesome. Never lost her memory. Her body just got old. She was all there. She completely, like, nothing. She wasn't unhealthy. She just got old. And the last thing she ever told me was, remember Jesus. Just remember Jesus. And I always remembered her just telling me that. She was so religious. And I remember hearing her say that as this like demonic figure is flying towards my body through this tunnel while I'm flying the other way. And I remember just yelling, Jesus loves you. And this thing like pulled like a fucking what? Like turned around and like looked at me and like ignited itself, like flared up, like hulked up for a second, like oh yeah, like, are you talking to me kind of thing? Yeah. And then I said, I love you. Like, I love you. Like, and he started bum rushing me down the tunnel, and when it hit me, boom, I'm in my body. And I am completely I am in my boxers. And that's it. All my clothes are gone. And I'm drenched in water, what I thought. I looked at my girlfriend, and she was looking at me, and she was like, are you here? Like, she hit my cheek, like, are you there? And I was like, what just happened? She hasn't heard my story yet. And I said, what did you see? I said to her, and she said, you said you were going to pass out, your lips went white, and your eyes started rolling around in your head. And she goes, you were like gone. I was like, yeah, I was gone. Like, I was goodbye. Like, no one's home. Like, for sure. I know. I left my body. And she said, then you started burning up, and your shirt just got drenched in water instantly. She said, my whole body was releasing so much heat from this. It was like under intense stress for some reason. And like she said, I took off your hat, I took off your jacket, I took off your shirt, I took off your pants, your socks. She goes, I didn't know what to do. You were like burning up. Like she was in the process of getting cold water and about to get me with a rag. Like I tried to get up and I just fell. I couldn't even walk. And she like, fireman, lucky for me. Shout out to this ex. I know we've had difficult times, but lucky I attracted a crazy chick who knew exactly what was happening as well. Like, she picked me up, took me to the bed, put me on the bed, and I started shivering now. I was freezing now. She put blankets all over me, And I heard her say, "Oh my God." And I looked at her, I was like, what's up? Like, what? She goes, "Do I have permission to like help you?" She had just gotten done doing an energetic healing course. I won't say which one. Everyone's got their opinions about it, but she was doing energy work at a retreat down in South America for a week. And then she came out of it, and she said that as I was laying on the bed, she could see a black mist coming off of my body. And that whatever happened, it didn't leave. She did. I didn't even tell her anything that had happened yet. She said something was leaving me as I was laying there on the bed. And it just was like a black mist. And I looked at her and I started laughing. She was like, "Why are you laughing?" And I said, "I am addicted now." I said, "It's real. Like, everything I've ever, like, researched or been in, like, this world is completely real." Right. And it made it real in a very, like, brutal way. Like, holy shit, that was dangerous. Like, what the hell would have happened? Like, if the breathing was what did it. The garlic is what did it. Don't forget your breath, man. That is your rope.
And garlic.
And garlic. Yeah, that would be another kind of like weird experience that happened. Like, don't pick up weird rings from ancient temples that you don't know whose that was or what it is, or you just leave that thing alone.
It's like picking up rocks from here.
Yeah.
You don't take home anything.
You just don't do it, man.
When I brought things home from Korea, rocks, shells, and before, and like the person that was taking me there would see me, and I would take something. I was like, "This is a beautiful rock, a beautiful shell." And I would sit there and just like close it in my hands and close my eyes. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I'm literally asking permission to bring it home.
Right.
Like, I want to bring something from here home.
But you want to respect.
But where I'm from, you don't take
You don't
anything.
do that, yeah.
You don't take
Not with
anything.
giving something back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's always you ask permission.
Yeah.
You ask, like you said, you ask permission for the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ask permission when you go hiking. You go
even diving.
Even diving.
You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
you
Understand that it's not yours in the first place, and
Yeah.
you're still taking it.
Yeah.
It's a practice that I think is super important. Like, we just take with no, like, regard for what we're taking from. And I think these asking permission practices in other cultures, holy shit, man, that's like a whole aspect of life that I never learned. Like, growing up here in America, I never learned to say thank you to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To your grandma or your grandpa or your parents, but never to, like, an energetic force that you don't see.
The land,
the
mountain,
land, the
ocean,
earth, like...
Yeah,
it's just interesting to me.
As a diver, you should know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Taxman comes around, you're like, "Yours!
Yeah.
I'm going in."
The taxman, the shark.
You know what I mean? Like, that instance where I had the eel
You just
chase
feed them, dude.
Take it.
I had the eel chase me, and I thought I was hallucinating.
Oh, yeah.
I was a very inexperienced diver,
Yeah.
and I ended up shooting a spear gun to the back of a cave. Fell right behind a rock. It took me 20 minutes to go into the cave,
Dig it out.
pull the shaft out, and swim backwards.
Was I on that diving trip?
No, it was just
that
me
was just you?
me and my boy Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, Solid.
Yeah.
Shout out to Solid.
Kevin White, yeah. Great waterman.
Yeah.
But I had gone up and down so many times that when I finally went in and had the balls enough, because this is the farthest I've ever swam in and not come out the other side. You know what I mean? You dive caves, you go in, you come out.
You gotta
it's like Waimea Rock. You go down, you dive the cave, you come out the other side.
Yeah.
And this one was, I had to dive all the way in and then literally crawl myself back out with the shaft.
Yeah.
That is dangerous.
It's completely dangerous. And my dive partner's on the beach chasing my lost dog with my wife and my kid. I'm out there by myself. So I get out, I surface, and I'm like breathing back up, and this crack in the rock. That's what I thought it was. It started squirming. And I'm like, this is it. I'm blacking out. I'm going down. I got nobody out here with me. I'm going down. And the crack stopped moving, looked at me, and opened its head. And it was like... it literally opened its head to about this big. The eel was longer than I was.
Yeah.
There's on Instagram right now, like a couple weeks ago, some guy pulled an eel out that like he's having it over his shoulder and it's slapping his ankles. I don't know if you guys have seen that. But I was like, yeah, I've seen it before. And it's the most nervous I've ever been.
I bet.
I can't tell you how fast I pulled my kuhi off and dropped all my fish.
It's like a pit bull, man.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in your house.
Yeah.
take it. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And like it's really weird because like as a diver you would know, you pull taco out, you put it in your bag, you feel its hug, you look back and you got little morays doing spins on your eel. You got no legs left, and you're like, dude, I've just given my whole taco to my eel. You know what I mean? Like this giant eel checked my kui and then swam my ass in. It was the scariest thing of my entire life. Like out of the leaties between the channel, you can shoot a gun and the sharks will know the sound of a gun shooting.
Yeah.
They'll come and check it out. You'll see them.
And
they don't necessarily come and check you out, but they know that sound.
Yeah.
They'll come and check out what's going on.
Well, they've become accustomed to that sound, meaning food.
Food. Yeah, something's dead,
crazy.
Something's bleeding.
Yeah.
But this eel, like, I literally took my kui off and left the string and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't even take the fish off the kui. It's yours. I'm going in. I'm sorry. And it went up, checked it, and swam back down to its reef. And then would just look at me, and I was already like, I'm going in. I'm sorry. And it literally swam me to the point where I could stand up on the beach. And then it went, shoop, turned right back around and paddled, and just swam itself back out.
It wanted you, dude.
It was just strange. Like my heart was racing. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was gonna die. It's like, how am I gonna even protect myself against massive eel?
You don't have a shaft anymore.
I had a shaft, but I had one shot. That's the thing.
Oh, that's right.
It's a spear gun. Like I almost would have felt comfortable with 3-prong.
Yeah.
I was sitting there panicking, trying to pull my bands down, and I'm just like, I can't even pull bands down. I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Trying to pull the kui off and pull bands down and get the wire off the shaft just be straight.
Oh, while you're holding your breath.
I'm just like, I'm gonna die today. My mom's gonna kill me. My wife's gonna kill me again. I'm gonna die. They're gonna find my floating body halfway by the eel. They're gonna pull me in, resurrect me, and kill me again. I don't know what's gonna happen today.
I haven't really had any bad experiences with eels, but I did have a similar experience where I dropped down on a dive one time, and you know when you drop down and you're hunting fish, right? You know, you drop down in the depressions. I dropped down into a depression, and there was this reef structure right next to me, and it was just a bunch of pukas. And I'm just like, I'm looking at fish or whatever, right? And then I just looked to my side, and like right here, wasn't as big as that one, but it was a fairly large one, and his mouth was just open, right?
Ready.
And that's how they breathe.
But you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, just like right there.
You got a little adrenaline dump, don't I?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I've dropped in a cave with several reef sharks, and I had a small reaction, you know, like, oh shit, there's sharks in here, but it was nothing compared to the fucking eel right in my face, bro. It was crazy. But I love watching them. Like you shoot a fish, and sometimes your shaft will kind of get stuck in the soft reef with the fish just kind of spinning on the shaft, and they'll just come right out. Like you never would have known they were right there, and they just come out and just wrap that fucking thing, pull it off the shaft, like.
And their grip is so fucking tight.
They're so.
You do not want them biting you, bro. You do not want them biting you.
They're little pit bulls
in
the
my
ocean,
friend Kevin,
dude.
the same guy that took me out, I watched him because he was teaching me how to dive. The whole body system, one stays up, one goes down.
Yep.
And I was up and he went down, and he had grabbed a shelf and peeked over, and the thing came out and snapped his mask. And I was like up there trying to figure out how I'm going to save my drowning friend because he's down there freaking out. I had no idea what happened. All of a sudden he just like grabbed the reef, went down, and just started flailing and freaking out. His mask was half off, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm such a newbie at this whole diving thing. Like, I can barely even dive down that far. We're like 30 feet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go down there, touch the reef, and come straight back up.
Chris,
Let alone pull my friend up. You know what I mean? And he explained to me later. He's like, yeah, okay, don't do that again. Like, don't just go ahead and look over shelves. Like, obviously, there's some eels there, and they're hungry.
Well, that happens a lot with taco too, right? They grab the mask, pull it off.
It's happened.
But in California, I've heard it happens.
Dude. I was like crawling on the reef, like in the shallow part, like maybe like 2 feet of water, just floating above it, like looking in cracks and crevices, just creeping along. And I grab this thing, and it doesn't feel normal. I look and I squeeze it, and all kinds of ink goes everywhere, and I'm like, start like kind of panicking, like, what the hell is that thing, dude? And it somehow like got a hold of my arm, and I was just like, oh no. Like, I just remember
freaky feeling.
I grabbed like its head and like I was like, this thing's got a fucking beak on it. Like I'm like, I don't know how much damage that's gonna do, but I bet you it can do some damage.
Yeah.
Hickeys, bro. It looked like I had a bunch of hickeys all over
my
arm.
first taco, I swear to God, I went to war with.
They
watched me. They watched me freaking out. Same thing. Like, I don't have the taco eye that most divers have. My boy Kevin, like I would swim by him and he'd be like, "You're not gonna go down and go get it." I'm like, "Get what?"
I don't even see
like,
it.
Go down there, fish it out with his 3-prong, professionally, just like
get it.
So naturally to fight, you know,
Bite
just
it
get taco.
right between the eyes.
And the first taco I found, I was like, I could see its little thing coming out. And I was like, finally, I got it. The same thing. It crawled up my arm, and I'm freaking out.
You're like trying to shake it off, and it won't shake off.
And like, it was a war.
It wants you, dude. It wants to kill you, dude.
But it really doesn't. It's just trying to survive its own life.
You remember when you made me stick that big old octopus head in my mouth?
Yes.
Do you remember that? That was hilarious.
That could be misinterpreted.
We're going to some really.
It was nice. You inked everywhere. Yeah, I was tripping out because you had 3 octopuses.
What do you call it?
What's the plural? Octopi. I like octopuses better.
Totally.
You had a bunch of them. I think there was 3 on the ice chest, but I thought it was super cool that the brain was dead and had no signals to tell it what color to be. So it was just blinking every color that it could be. Yeah. And I was like, that is super crazy.
It's beautiful too though, because it's like it's like, white, like the skin or whatever you call it.
This
the
neutral state
is white.
But then it flashes.
It flashes with just like all the colors of the rainbow and then
it's
the brown.
Insane.
Yeah.
So there's a really dish in Korea that the restaurant that I worked in, we served raw beef, and the name of the restaurant translated to open market restaurant. So they would literally they had one guy to go to all the open markets and call the chef and tell the chef, okay, this is the good seafood that's in season. This is what looks great today, and the chef would be like, okay, perfect. We're going to make a special today. And one of them was raw beef, live taco, and a raw egg.
Live taco. Oh, they do eat them.
So, but
totally
instead of like everybody's got that perception of like, oh, that small little taco, and you eat it and it's gonna kill you because it crawls down your throat and suffocates you or eats your tonsils or whatever. It was like a 1 or 2 pound taco, and I ended up going downstairs to where it was, and what they do is they take the taco, they pull it out of the tank, whip it one good one so it's all straightened out. Put it on a cutting board and just go for it.
While it's alive.
And then take the head, no tentacles left, which I've seen in the ocean from like Ulu hunters and everything. They catch their taco, snag the leg out, and just send it out and just keep the taco alive, whatever.
Yeah.
But they just have the head, these little stumps, and they throw it in the fridge.
How fun.
And they pick up the taco, the squirming, still squirming, put it on the raw beef, crack the raw egg on top of it, and serve it.
Just like that.
And it was in a basement, so I would see it. Like I was
of course, it's in a basement.
Right. The restaurant was amazing. The restaurant was amazing.
So gnarly.
Elevator that send food up, and like the first time I had seen it, I just seen it come out of the elevator, and like there's these things squirming on a plate. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yo, that's a taco.
So they let me out early one day, went downstairs where the locker is and the prep room is. And I heard it. Bah, 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 bah. Went, okay, what are they doing? Ran down there and seen him just finishing up the taco. Put the taco in the fridge, scooped it all up, put it on the plate, and he's like, "Oh, Chris, come check this out. Eat it." So he gave me some raw taco and raw beef to eat it with. But I'm like looking at the plate, like it's the same thing, like you said. Like it's got its normal skin color, but it's squirming and everything else is still just like flashing colors.
So gnarly, did we just eat like
raw? Everything raw. You had beef, seafood, and poultry raw, and people up there love it.
I was like, is that like a delicacy? Is it good or is it lazy?
I don't know what delicacy is. Like, what do you call a delicacy? Something that takes 4 to 8 hours to cook, or something that
something unique to the culture. Like in Peru, it would be cuy, different cuy.
What is that?
They eat guinea pig.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it is bomb.
But it's normal to them.
But it's a rat.
But it's normal to them, right?
It's completely normal to them.
That's the same thing with that whole. It's completely
in the
normal
Philippines. They eat the like half-born fetus of the chick, right?
Let's not deal with balut.
Oh, the balut?
No,
yeah, balut.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
how do you call that delicacy?
You know what I mean? It's a delicacy.
It's 1,000-year-old egg.
It's supposed to be 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
It's supposed to be a 2
So
week.
nasty, dude.
Yeah.
Aborted egg.
But
imagine it crunching the bones.
Delicacy, but traditional.
Right, there's the word.
You know, because the restaurant was very traditional.
Yeah.
It was one of the best experiences of my training that I went through.
You were living the life.
Yeah. We ended up eating live shrimp. That was crazy.
How was that?
Does it taste the same?
No, it was the best thing I've ever eaten.
Are they great?
Yeah, it was so fresh, nothing shrimpy about it. Like, the way that the restaurant served it was...
What?
Like I said, you have tanks of seafood.
Yeah.
And like, okay. The guys called them up, I'm bringing in fresh shrimp. And right when you walked into the restaurant, there was a tank with all the live shrimp in it.
Yeah.
You could see every single customer check it out, like, what's going on in there? These shrimp would jump out of the tank. And you'd have to go and like chase them around the restaurant and pick them back up and throw them back in there. That was classic. It's just like, what's going on over there? And it didn't bug anybody. You know, you didn't have like the people that were like, oh my god, I need to speak to the manager.
Oh shit! It was the lipstick.
Yeah, the lipstick.
But the way the restaurant served it was, we went and got the order. Okay, the order came in for that special dish. The chef went out there, fished out. It was like 8 shrimp or something.
This restaurant sounds fishy, bro.
Totally. And then you peeled the shrimp alive.
Oh, this sounds so gnarly to me. Like,
It was, you know,
what is the little shrimp thinking? Like,
Exactly.
shrimps get like ripped apart by a giant. Like,
The chef had challenged me. He's like, "Do you love sashimi?" And I was like, "I love everything. And I definitely love sashimi. I'll sashimi almost any fish." He's like, "Will you sashimi shrimp?" I was like, "If it's fresh enough, sure, I can understand that. Like here in Hawaii, we eat ama ebi, even though it's dead. It's a certain shrimp that's, if anything, you barely poach it in butter, and that's it. It's mostly served raw and sashimi style."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll sashimi shrimp." He's like, "Cool, awesome." And the way the restaurant served it is they peeled it, and then they put it into a bucket full of ice with a bunch of other vegetables. They brought it out to the table with a butane burner, and they made a soup right then and there. So when they got to the table for the guests, everything was still alive and everything, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Was the shrimp still moving?
for the guests as well, yeah. And so when I ate it, he's like, "Here you go, peel the shrimp, use the salt, it helps it from the stickiness." I'm like, "Do we kill it first?" And he's like, no, you peel it alive.
that's so gnarly.
Which for me, I was like, "Dude, you're like ripping skin off this poor shrimp."
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is this little
What's going
shrimp
on? So
thing?
we're peeling it, and you keep the head on. I'm like, "Here you
how
go, chef."
nice.
And he puts it down on the cutting board, grabs his knife, cuts the head off,
Oh, there it goes.
and hands me the body with a spicy sauce.
Just go for it.
And he's like, "There you go, eat it."
Why would they just cut the head off first? Like, that would be more humane.
But so the most morbid thing is, here I am dipping the body of the shrimp to eat it as I'm looking at the cutting board as the shrimp is looking back at me with the rest of its legs still kicking. And I'm like, I am eating this shrimp's body as it's still looking at me. It's definitely not dead.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It was one of the most morbid,
There's gotta
delicious things I've ever experienced.
There's gotta be a planet out there where they poach humans and they eat us like that. You know what I mean? They're just like putting us on a little place where like an Indiana Jones with the monkey at the table. We're going like that, but we're seeing Jabba the Hutt. Like he's about to eat us.
You could get this story out to the wrong people or the right people to blow it up, and you're gonna have a gazillion, 100 million people that are like, "You're the most evil person in the world.
Right.
How could you possibly do it?" I told this to a friend of mine, and she was just like,
Was she
"I
vegan?
just went vegan."
Yeah.
No,
She
she
went
was like, I'm about to go vegetarian. How could you even possibly do it? How can you even tell me this story?
Yeah.
Like it's a great experience. I'm like, because as a chef, you don't discount flavor.
But even
you know what I mean?
And it was
amazing.
It's
like,
a different culture.
The texture was amazing.
Yeah.
The freshness, obviously, was the most fresh shrimp you're ever gonna eat, and that the flavor was fantastic.
well, to me, even plants aren't vegan, dude. Have you ever heard of a corpse flower? It eats monkeys. Okay?
The Venus flytrap, bro.
That it's a giant Venus flytrap, but even plants aren't vegetarian. They love meat too, bro. it's always tripped me out. Like,
flavor.
You know what I mean? Even plants like that shit.
It's the same nutrients whether we're eating an animal or a plant, you know. So it's pretty. You know,
I'm an omnivore. I like bacon on my salad.
Yeah. I was watching that Joe Rogan stand up. I was telling Christian I had no clue. Or was it
me?
It was you, Chris. Had no clue Joe Rogan did stand up.
Oh, you never did?
No clue. Yeah. I know he did the shows back in the day, and he does the commentating and all that. Anyway, I ran into his shows and specials on Netflix. He has 2 of them.
Yep.
Strange Times and something else.
Yeah, the new one is Strange Times.
Yeah.
It's bro humor, dude. Laughing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I call him the bro bridge. He gets bros to think about shit they wouldn't normally think about.
Yeah.
And he gets them into like DMT or like mushrooms or like I served ayahuasca, I won't say with who, across the country, and I always loved when the military guys would show up because it's like their brains are defended, like they got defenses in there, and watching their belief system just dissolve right in front of them. But they would always tell me, I'm like, so how did you hear about this? And they're like, I'm not gonna lie, Joe Rogan. I always found that to be the best shit ever. Like, he's the bro bridge, I call him.
He's got to be, you know, so on his special, he talks about how dumb he is. I know that's just part of his act or whatever, right? But he's got to be, just because of all the people he's spoken to, he's got to be one of the smartest guys on the fucking planet.
Yep.
Got no doubt about it, you know.
Yep.
And
Sponges.
So when he gets in character though on a particular bit,
so funny.
It is hilarious. He did this one
that's why I got the shirt right
bit.
here. Shout out to Ari.
Rogan's the president of
2020. What's up, you fucks?
If Trump can get in there, Rogan can get in there. No problem.
Well, that's what he showed.
My boy Ari sent me this, so I had to wear it for the next podcast. I promised him. I love this shirt.
Yeah, Rogan did this one bit on with Bruce Jenner and the demon that turned him into a woman or whatever. It was so funny. But he got into character as the demon.
He's so funny like that.
And he like stood up. He like wrapped himself on this stool, a small bar stool. It was so funny. And he did the voice and everything. Yeah, he's really good.
All he did was jujitsu that stool, dude.
That's what he did. It was crazy.
Took the jujitsu bag. He took the back of the stool and would like put his hooks in.
I swear he became a demon on that bit. You know, and he did this thing to where, like, when the demon got excited, he'd, like, stand up, you know, like an excited cat or a scared cat.
Yeah.
He'd do that on the stool. And I got, like, goosebumps and shit. I was like, holy fuck, this dude is real, bro. Yeah, dude, and the voice and everything. It was hilarious. But he talks about vegans, not so much in a bad way, but he makes fun of them when they have, like, the cats and stuff, right? Yeah. Vegan cats or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even if a vegan has a cat that doesn't turn the cat into a vegan, if that makes any sense.
That's funny.
Well, the cat's it's a fucking predator, right? So it's like, you know, you can't have it both ways. Right. You know what I mean? So, but he's just so fabulously smart, and the way he points out stuff in his shows,
he knows how to talk about it.
So impressive.
Yeah.
It's pretty
he knows how to talk about it.
Yeah.
He's good at the art of conversation, making anybody feel comfortable enough to talk about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Elon Musk to smoke a joint with him, dude. It was awesome.
I know, right?
That was awesome.
The stock is tanking.
Yeah. But he's being real.
Not anymore. I think it's rebounding.
I bet in a big way, dude. Like, I bet.
Yeah, I think Tesla just surpassed Audi and some other luxury car maker.
Yeah.
Just like a couple days ago.
Yeah, it did.
And so the stock just like jumped up.
Fuck yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity, too.
Yeah.
That's
I love that podcast.
They're talking shit, they're talking good, they're talking.
Yeah. Dude, I love this podcast. That's part of the reason why I started this one. Because I was
going to say, I like the format, dude.
It's just like talking, just wanting to talk to interesting people, you know?
You're interesting, Jordan.
You're interesting. You're all interesting.
You guys are all interesting.
Hopefully other people find this interesting.
Who gives a fuck?
I had a great time about whoever watches. Halfway through, I forgot people that actually maybe watching this.
I know, you started it out. Yeah. I told you guys are going to forget about the cameras.
It happened. It happened.
Well, on that note, I think that's it.
It's never it.
Jesus, it's 10 past 10.
Dude, we went for
2 hours and 40 minutes.
2 hours 40 minutes. Didn't seem like it was that much.
I bet the kids were all passed out and
Probably.
up.
I haven't heard anything from downstairs, dude.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Jordan.
On. Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime you guys want to come back. I know you're.
That's the best thing teaching Koreans, bro. Is the shaka. They have no idea. They're like, what?
What is
No,
this?
That's Ozzy Osbourne. Don't
Well, what is it? You got the Spock, the Shock.
No.
Oh,
there you go.
The Shaka, the Raka.
We have the shaka.
There's all kinds.
You have the mini shaka.
The mini shaka.
And then you have the big shaka.
Oh, man.
On that note, we are. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening in, and we are done. Oh,